Let's get it. Peace and shalom, family. We live. Yeah. So let me go ahead and share this link. Okay. It should be in here. YouTube. Okay. So this is a Freestyle Friday session, July 8th, 2017. This ain't really nothing special. I just happen to be up, on Friday night. I was working on a project and was watching some videos and doing some research on some stuff. I'm actually going to replace my computers, my desktop and my laptop. So I already ordered them, so I'm just waiting for them to come, and then I'm gonna sell what I have here. So for those who's watching, yes, I'm still going to do that lecture on atopic dermatitis, more specifically on eczema. So that lecture is still through. I know I've been getting a lot of people hitting me up about that. And in one of the videos I have, the late night scholarship vlog #1, I actually give a sample of the lecture on there, so y'all can go back and check that out. But that lecture, I'm gonna try to drop it by the end of this month. You feel me? If my schedule slows down, because I'm working a lot and I'm doing a lot of other projects and stuff like that, so I don't really have as much available time as I did before. But I need to drop that because this is really pushing to the forefront the naturopathic health consultation program that we have, as well as the healthcare plan that we're soon to launch. And I want people to get a taste of the type of information that we use to edify and educate before people actually commit to the regimens that we suggest in order to alleviate themselves or heal themselves of their ills. And if y'all saw that video, you'll see how meticulous that I was in regards to dealing with that subject matter. All right. So I sent the link out. This was really for like Facebook. You feel me? I sent the link out. If anybody wanted to jump on, y'all could definitely jump on. And let's go. Let's do that, man. All right. Just responded to some people. And I didn't realize so many people was up. I mean, it is Friday night, you know what I'm saying? So I should have expected that. And I know for some of the Hebrew Israelites out there, some of y'all is keeping Shabbat, so some of y'all all awake. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna keep this session wholesome. Let me go ahead and check out the chat, see what's going on in the chat. Let's see. And we get into some stuff. I'll take some questions if I can answer them. I may not be fully prepared to answer them, but I'll do my best. But let's see what's going on. All right, so somebody said I can't hear you. I don't know why. Let's do this. All right, I'm using my Snowball Ice mic, so hopefully y'all can hear me now. If y'all can hear me, hit 1 if you can hear me. There's a sister said that she can't hear, so if y'all can hear me, hit 1. All right. Yeah, I see y'all in the building. So you know what I do? I give shout outs to my family that's out in the chat. So let me give a shout out from the top. Shout out to Black Av One, Tahira, Kayana, shout out, Sam Bone, It Shall Be What It Shall Be. You know what I mean? Sean Fleming, Navia Yasharal. Who else is in here? Peace Jiz, Michael Wiley, Yosef Ben Yisrael, Mona Breakley, Lorraine I Am. All right, so we got almost 30 people in here already. Man, y'all don't sleep, man. But yeah, so shalom, peace, Black Power family. I want to give all praise to the ancestors who paved the way for me to be here today. And shout out to you, the family. I'm here to serve y'all. I'm here for your edification, education, empowerment, encouragement, and equipment purposes. So that's what I'm here to do for the family. So now I got the link up. I see Sequoia. She's out. She's up here in the chat. So you miss this? You can unmute mic and just introduce yourself to the family. Can you hear me, sis?
Shalom, sorry, my phone was on mute, but shalom, everyone.
Okay. Yeah, just introduce yourself to the family. Just say hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sequoia. I'm on the West Coast in California.
Yes. This is a very lovely sister. She has a beautiful family, beautiful spirit. She actually, well, I gotta ask you a question, sis, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I saw that message that you did on your Facebook page. Now, was that a regular like Christian setting that you was in? Because it seems it was like you was dropping gems, but I'm like, what kind of audience is she saying this to?
It was a Christian audience. I was actually invited by a Christian pastor's wife. She actually helps out with my children, but I love the message that they give the people. They always try to push the Bible to everyone, reading the Bible. But of course, they still are Christians. But I try to meet people where they are,
exactly,
and still try to bring unity, because edification and education can change things.
Exactly. You did an awesome message. I want to commend you for that, sis. Great job. I was here watching it with my family. He was like, wow, she really going in. And it's like a Christian audience, but they was receptive. So that's the thing that I think the Most High for, is that, because of your spirit, your character, your integrity, it lit the path before you, you know what I mean? And it opened up the ears of those in the audience. So even if they did not immediately respond, they were left with a seed. So you did an excellent job, sis, and I want to make sure I commend you for that. You know what I'm saying? So keep up the good work, sis.
Toda.
All right, let's see. Shout out to the watchers, Prince of Power 777 Yisrael, JC on sale, Mona Breakley. She says, I'm new to your channel, but I've been watching your videos and have so much respect for your scholarship. May increase you and keep you. Thank you, sis. So shout out to Mona Breakley. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for watching my videos, for supporting. If you don't mind, definitely share the videos with anybody who can definitely benefit from it. And I hope to continue to be of service to you, my sister. So I appreciate that. Shalom to everybody else out there. All right, family. So I have one guest in here, but what I'm going to do is let me make the link available in the chat. So if anybody in the chat want to jump on, y'all can definitely get in. All right, let me share this. All right. So yeah, I got some big projects coming up. That I've been working on. The number one thing is improving production quality. And next couple of months is I'm telling you, man, I got something nice in store for y'all. So hopefully y'all enjoy that. Yeah, I'm trying to help this person get into that. Let me put the link here. All right, so the link is in the chat. Whoever wants to jump on can jump on and get in the chat session. Let's freestyle. Let's do this again. Okay. All right. We need this. I don't want this to play into here. All right, family. So, I shared the link in the chat. Anybody can jump on. You know what I'm saying? Just don't bug out. If you bug out, disrespectful, you OD or whatever the case may be, then I might have to kick you out. But most of the people that view my channel are pretty much respectful. And I have a good audience, man. I'm telling you, man. I love the people that support this channel, man. I really do. Come on. I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you get into this chat. Yeah, I got stuck on one of my memorization. Now, yes, I agree. It shall be what shall be. I agree. And what in regards to you're saying start campaigning for Europeans to debate instead of into African debates. Nevertheless, debates are good in context. I agree. Debates are good in context if there is a solution that is tied afterwards. Debate. When debate's finished, we have to get into solution. My last debate, you know what I'm saying, it didn't go the way I intended, only because I didn't get to present the material that I brought for the debate. But luckily, I was able to present it on my channel, and I still have the official video coming soon when I get around to it. But y'all can go and check out the live streams. There's some technical difficulties, but if you work through it, you'll see the garment of scholarship behind the data that I presented. You know what I'm saying? But my objective is to get this information into the university so that way we can open up bigger platforms to debate our cause and have our youth that's growing up see that we're actually in this realm breaking ground, so they can have more faith and confidence when they go into these universities to get these skills, these trades, these degrees, and to bring it back to build their community. You feel what I'm saying? So I agree. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't be tearing each other down. We shouldn't be cursing each other out and wilding out each other. I mean, listen, I did my street thing a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? I retired that. You feel what I'm saying? Even before I came into consciousness, I retired that. So my thing is, what would it value me to destroy another black brother or black sister? You feel what I'm saying? It does not benefit me any to invest my energy, my effort, my time to breaking somebody else down. It's not that serious. So even though people throw shots at me, you know what I'm saying, I just brush them off. You know why? Because that's chump change. You feel what I'm saying? There's bigger fish to fry. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm trying to catch a tuna, why am I worried about a little minnow fish? You feel what I'm saying? It's not that serious. So I don't direct my anger, you know what I'm saying, because I don't have anger per se. You know what I'm saying? I do have some discontentment with the way that society treats our community. And it irritates me. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm not fully frustrated because I have solutions that I implement myself and that I share with others. But I'm not going to take my time and exhaust it tearing other people down in my own community that I'm trying to build up. That's being counterproductive. You feel what I'm saying? So shout out to D-Red. Shout out to James Cassell. Sound like somebody jumped in the chat. I don't know who that was. Oh, Navia. Shalom, Makoti. I can't see you, but that's okay. That's okay. I guess you're being Batgirl tonight. Shadows. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, this to wrap up that rant. My most important thing is being able to give tools to the community to solve societal ills, to better educate, empower them so that they can be equipped and encouraged to go and tackle whatever issues that they may deal with, provide a degree of professionalism and scholarship behind that, ensure that we're installing culture to raise up a community to become autonomous, And all of that goes hand in hand with the moniker that we utilize for Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. I know a lot of people has been asking, how can they join the ministry organization so that way they can put boots to the ground, get this work out there, so that way they can fix up their communities. And when the website is live again, there'll be a sign up screener on there, so that way you can take a very small assessment test just to make sure that this is for you. You feel what I'm saying? And then from there, you know, we can definitely get on board. But you know, there's about 10 to 12 members. I had way more, but I had to, you know, do some trimmings and I had to prune so that we can get it more efficient. But I know there's a lot of people that reach out to me and say that they want this type of information and this type of encouragement in their community. You feel what I'm saying? And I want to make sure that we expand there. Right now, we're mostly in New York. We are also in Atlanta, and then we also in LA, parts of the West Coast. But I want to actually get it in places that are more remote, where I've noticed that, you know, according to the people that follow my page, that they are generally people that's in the same area and they don't realize they're in the same area. So I like to make posts to connect people, to bring people together, to network people. Even here in Atlanta, man, I mean, I help build a lot of people in this community. A lot of people relocated out here. I help bring people together, and that's my thing. I'm content with just being the bridge. You don't have to remember my name. You know what I'm saying? Just remember how you met that brother and sister, and the fact that you met them was in alignment with them to complete whatever assignment or task that the Creator had for you to be linked up with that brother or sister. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? Not the name, but how you allow other people to get the platform that they need so that can accelerate in their calling. You feel what I'm saying? So that's enough of that rant. I know Navia probably got a question or something. I already got a question. But before I take a question, sisters, give me 1 second. Let me check the chat out real quick. I agree, the washers. Black Ab, James Cassell. For some reason, the link doesn't work for me. If you could please inbox it if you have time through Google Hangouts. All right, James. Let me post that up. All right, go ahead, sis. I know you got a. Go ahead, sis.
Okay. So my question is about the when are you going to do the lecture for the avatar as far as Yah and L? You know, I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I know. That's a good question. I'm gonna probably end the year off with that lecture. So it'll probably be maybe like November. After I do the Minority Report Part 2, I will follow up with that, because I know people have been asking me about that for the longest. Because, you know, it's a very I don't know if I want to say different, but it's a very unique subject matter. Because, you know, I like to address things, teach on things that a lot of people in our community either think is taboo, they've never really addressed it, thought about it, and like give some new, fresh material, a new, fresh look on things, so that way it can spark critical thinking, as well as you know, just people being able to implement the new information into their coursework, so that way they can enhance their own studies and build themselves. So I know a lot of people was asking about that lecture, so I'm gonna try to end it off in a year. But from now until then, I'll drop little things here and there until we ramp up to that situation dealing with that lecture. So I don't know where it's gonna be. That's a great question. I mean, I might do it in Houston. I don't know. I mean, I could do it a lot of places. But you know, I would just make sure that if I go out of town to do it, that there would be a large enough audience. You know, because a lot of when I go out of town to lecture, there'd be maybe like almost 100 people. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere from like 20 if it's a small gathering to almost 100 plus people. You know, but if I'm going to do a big lecture like this, it's going to have to be in a city where I know there's a lot of us there, and that people are actually willing to come out. You know what I'm saying? And typically, what my policy is now, it is I don't charge at the door, right? I let people come experience the message, and if it has empowered them and they want to donate, they can give whatever they have, whether it's a penny, whether it's $1 million, it's on them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to obligate them to do something, especially if they're new to my type of lectures and they don't know what to anticipate or expect. So that lecture, I would treat it that way and do that. Are you in Houston?
No, I'm in Chicago.
Oh, you're in Chi-Town. Also some kids. Oh, Chi-Town, man. Is it really crazy in Chi-Town? Because, you know, I'm hearing a lot of different people saying different things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little wild, but it's if you are not involved in certain things, you don't really have to worry about it. You don't run into those issues. People out here in these streets, like they live in this life, and that's consequences that come with it.
Yeah, yeah. See, Sam Bone just asked, do you have anything in Chicagoland? And then people were talking about Houston too. So it seems like those are two big cities. So I might choose one of those for that lecture. So that's a great question. I think I might choose one of those for the lecture. I'll speak to my booking agent and see if they can get me something in one of those cities. I probably have to flip a coin to see which one, but you know,
Yeah, we rarely have gatherings in Chicago. So
when you
that
say
would be
gatherings, what you mean?
anything.
Wow.
Like, I mean, they have a few temples, but they don't really have any events or anything out here with the community.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
Israelite
mean, are
community.
you part of an Israelite community out there?
No, I fellowship with a few people,
Mm.
but no, not like that.
Do y'all do a house fellowship?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know I have a lot of people that ask me if I go, because you know, about 2 years ago, so I had a congregation. You know, around that time I was traveling a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't stationary enough to oversee everything. So I kind of like dissolved that and sent them to other places that he can go. But I know I've been hearing people ask me to do like Sabbath session. I'm saying for the ones that can't get or can't congregate somewhere to do that. I mean,
Mm.
typically on the Shabbat, I get up, I prepare myself, and I go to my congregation I fellowship with out here, and I'm there at least for 6 hours. You know, and by the time I get home, you know, waiting for the sun to set to, you know, then go get something to eat and relax with the family. Sometimes I may not have the time to do that. Now, what I'll probably do is in the future, once I lessen this workload, I'll probably do a session in the morning before transitioning to congregation, just for the people out there who don't really have a home to go to or something to do or a place to really fellowship on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that'll be good.
yeah, hopefully that'll empower other people to get on board. So all right, let's see. Let me see if I can find something. Yeah, IOG is out there. Yeah, that's true. You know what IOG is, Israel of God. Now have you heard of them?
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. I mean,
don't
they're big.
I don't agree with everything they teach, but I know who they are.
Yeah, same here. I mean, IOG is big in the U.S. You know what I'm saying? They're a huge Israelite congregation in the U.S. And you know, I've watched a lot of the information. Some of it is good, but some of it I don't agree with either. But my thing is, you know, I'm not gonna discourage somebody they
Hmm.
want to connect with that to go just at least as a temporary place until they go get something more permanent. You feel what I'm saying? So I wouldn't suggest you to go there because, you know, me and you dialogue and I know the level that you're at and the direction you're going. So it wouldn't be compatible with you, you know. But if there was a place, then I would suggest it to you. You feel what I'm saying? But IOG, it works for some people. You know, I have a good brother, Mikhail. If he's, I don't think he's watching, but he goes to IOG, and me and that brother, we have a great relationship. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say it's individuals. It's just collectively the leadership has a particular way that they teach their doctrine. And even though I may not subscribe to it, it may be for somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to hate, you know what I'm saying, because they don't agree with what I agree with. But if it's an alignment where on a path where somebody's at, then I'll definitely suggest them to it. I'm not, you know. Brother says, does HEA live stream their Sabbath gatherings? They used to do it on Facebook, but they don't. I mean, HCA is not my congregation. You know what I'm saying? It's Minister Milton Carnes, it's his congregation. Kingdom Harbinger Ministries is partnered with HCA, and I go there, you know, to fellowship. You know what I'm saying? Because most of my audience is in the virtual world. You know, I have some out here in Atlanta, but most of them is in the virtual world. So when I go there, it's just having a physical place with people that subscribe to most of the things that I subscribe to. that are down to earth, that are welcoming. You feel what I'm saying? Because you always want to have an environment that allows for growth. And Navia can attest to it. You know, anytime she invited me to a teleconference, you know, and Miss Hectic, sis, do I maintain control on that line?
What you mean? No, I mean you give everybody else a chance to talk. And
But I ensure that there's no chaos, because, you know, after a while, I ensure everybody's on the same page, everybody's able to speak, nobody's being disrespectful.
exactly,
So I like to come in and manage that atmosphere, because it's others that may be on the line that may not be as studied, and they may not have an opportunity to learn because it's so volatile. And sometimes you get that with our community, man. You get a lot of volatile people, and it's very difficult to learn. You know why? Because everybody, and here's the thing, your walk is personal, but the problem is when you project that personal walk onto other people and force them to take it equally as personal as you do, and they may not be at the level that you're at. And that's being disingenuous, and that's being unbalanced and unfair. So I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? What I do is I make sure that the environment is very welcoming. People can ask their questions. They can even give their input or their opinion on stuff, even if they want to debate with me. You know what I'm saying? If you look at any of the videos that I even posted on my YouTube channel of me in teleconferences going back and forth with people, it's at the end of the day, once it's over with, and Navia, she can attest it because she's the one inviting me to these teleconferences. You know what I'm saying? The ones that I was doing with my ministry organization, I paused for a second, but I'm gonna revive them in the summer. But, you know, even when I debate people, you know what I'm saying? It's very respectful, you know, and this is how people learn. You know, you can't learn in a volatile environment. You know what I'm saying? Because it sounds like, you know what I'm saying, you right outside the projects when people going back and forth with each other. You know what I'm saying? And we all know what that sounds like. And a lot of us been from that life. So it doesn't benefit our spirit, you know what I'm saying, in order for us to go in that direction. So it's good that we avoid that. What's the realest understand of Yahusha coming back? I don't understand what that means, Black Av. Can you reword that? Sadaria Halliburton says, when are you coming to South Florida? What part? Miami? Let me know what part. Oh, that's what he's saying. The return of Yahusha, is it spiritual, or is the clouds really opening? There's a lot of different ways that I can angle that. What I'm going to say in regards to that, I don't have a definitive stance on that. I am a what's the classical historical premillennialist, right? I don't believe that there's going to be some rapture that's going to happen. I mean, that's not biblical. I believe that the children of Israel is going to go through a period of Jacob's trouble or tribulation before the Messiah comes back on the scene. You know what I'm saying? So some people say that he's coming to crack open the sky and he's coming down to the earth. Other people say that, you know, he's going to emerge on the scene within the earth and gather the elect. So there's different angles, and there's different ways that you can target those angles. But I believe that whoever this righteous king that the Most High is sending back, he's going to come one of those ways. You know what I'm saying? And due to technology today, I mean, there's a lot of different things that can occur in regards to that. But what I will say is that would make for an interesting lecture, because a lot of people ask me, well, what about salvation? And what do you teach on salvation? If you watch my videos, you'll see what I teach on salvation. I guess some people miss that because some of my videos can be lengthy, and I'll admit they do. I'm going to start making smaller ones so that way it's easily digestible. But the reason why I do that is because I don't post videos every day. So when I give content, I make sure that there's enough in it so you can go back, and you can just break it up maybe in a 5-day period and go back in sections and take it in, because it's a lot of information I divulge. You know what I'm saying? So if you go through it, you'll see that I talk about a lot of these things. You know what I'm saying? Now the return, you know, I didn't get too much on that, but I'm gonna do a lecture on that because I know a lot of people speak about that, and I'm gonna be as objective as I can be when I present it. You know what I'm saying? And then after I do that, then I could tell you what my stance is or where I'm leaning towards. But you know, anything can change between now and 5 years from now. You know, I'm led the way the Most High leads me. You know, when I come across things, if I made a mistake, I say, hey, you know, I made a mistake. I'm not there no more. This is where he has me right now, because day to day we're growing. And if you're stuck in the same ways for 5, 15, 20 years, you know, you're just not growing. And what I noticed is that in this community, you know, a lot of people are not growing. And I don't blame the people who have a desire to learn. A lot of times I blame the leadership if they know better. A lot of times the leadership don't want to teach more stuff or different things because they feel may undermine their position. You know what I'm saying? And it's not designed to do that. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be designed to do that. Sean Fleming said, I listen to your videos when I do my work. Shout out to you, Sean Fleming. I appreciate that. And yeah, that's what some people tell me too. And I tell people, hey, just put it in your ears, listen to it while you're doing your work, like it's an audio book, and just get the information. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna do more encouragement videos, you know, more videos that's more spiritual based, more encourage based, because, you know, I try to touch, you know, I try to address all angles. You know, if you go to my YouTube channel for Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, you'll see that the material that's on there has a lot of variety. So if you're coming on there because you need encouragement, there's videos for that. If you come on there because you want to see some anthropological aspect on something, you'll see that information there. If you coming on there because you want to know how can I get a solution to fix my community, you'll have some of that. I sprinkle a lot of stuff or season a lot of things on that channel because I want to make sure there's enough variety there for everybody. Because if you're going to call it a channel, you know, you have to have various programs on there. So that way people can tune into what it is that they like. They can pretty much almost DVR it. Now they can just type it in and put up the videos that they want. But that information is there. And I feel that teachers have to be more expansive, you know, on the angles. You know, and I'm telling you, this is me keeping it real, since we're freestyling, no particular subject matters. I can't sit and watch somebody lecture about something for a couple of hours and then I have social ills that I need help with, but I can't go to them for that. You exhibit so much intellect when divulging high knowledge information, but when it comes to mundane things like you know, brother sister say, hey, you know, my house is about to get they're about to take my house, they're about to take my car, you know, I have debt, or I have health issues, or I have this legal issue, what should I do? So a leader should be accountable to be able to give a solution, and if he or she does not have it, be able to have somebody on standby that they can refer that brother or sister to get the issue resolved. Because what good is it for me to sit here and only give you my deep intellectual scholarship, but yet I can't fix simple problems? You know, people come to me all the time. I mean, even before I became an Israelite, I was counseling people, right? For years. And people come to me for counseling all the time. You know, now I don't have a lot of time to invest as much in counseling, but here and there I still do it. Another thing is, you know, I get so many requests. Family, I should show you my inbox one day. But the reason why I don't is because I know some people send me stuff that's personal, things that they want me to work with them on, and I don't want to show. But, you know, I get a lot of messages, you know, and it's very hard for me to follow up like I would want to. So I always tell people, those of you who are watching, you know, we got almost 50 people in the building. Those of you that are watching, you know, stay on top of me, man. You know, if we discuss something and I say, okay, I'll get back to you, and you don't hear me for a couple of days a week, stay on top of me. You know what I'm saying? Send me a reminder, like Navia. She know, she don't let up. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate her for that, because it keeps me grounded. It keeps me on point. So, you know, definitely holler at me and keep abreast with me and just work with me, and I'll do my best to work with you. You know, but at the day, you know, we have to give solutions, man. Information is great, but you got to give a solution. You know, and that was the one issue that one of the main issues I had with that debate with Jabari is that the brother was just frustrated. He didn't give no solutions, and that didn't benefit our community at all. All right. Let's see what they say in the chat. Your Edom breakdown, nice, and the piece about the sisters. Thank you. It should be what should be. I appreciate that. The Edom joint I did way back in 2014. That video has almost 60,000 views on my measly, almost 5,000 subscriber channel. You feel what I'm saying? So I know a lot of people have been sharing that everywhere, man. And that video grows every week. You know what I'm saying? And the one about the sisters, I'm thinking he's probably talking about a closed mouth didn't get pledged. Probably talking about that one. But, you know, again, even that one, I think that was an excellent video. Y'all should go back and watch that video, because that was for the sisters, to empower the sisters. You know what I'm saying? But remember, I'm going to have a showcase on this channel where I allow guests to come and speak and share information. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to work out how I'm going to name that segment, you know, before I launch it. But I got a brother that does a Hebrews Light magazine, man. It's professional quality, is well written. I mean, it's an excellent magazine. I'm going to be featuring him on this channel sometime in July. And then there's a lot of other people that want to actually dialogue with me or interface me. I'm going to feature them. Now, also, what's that called? Not sweepstakes, but a raffle. There you go. I had a raffle for people that donated because I want to start giving back to the people that give to this ministry. So the people that donated, I put them in a raffle, and I'm going to select it sometime Sunday or Monday. And it's for anybody that donated, whether you donated $1, whether you donated $1,000. You know, I put everybody's name in a raffle, and I'm going to do this weekly or monthly, where I'm going to select somebody from there, and I'm going to give them something for free. Feature on the channel. They could feature on the channel. If they want to have a Q&A with me on the channel, they can have a Q&A with me on the channel. They want a free consultation. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? In that regard, I'll provide it for them, or I'll just give them something for showing their love and support. You know what I'm saying? I had several super chats. You know what I'm saying? And that's a new feature where you can actually donate and have your comment in the chat pinned for a short amount of time, but as a way that in real time that you can donate during a live stream. And that's a great feature that YouTube had launched. So, you know, me, I'm not telling people they have to donate, you know, but if they choose to, if they see the hard energy, work, and value of this ministry and information that comes forth, you know, then if they're compelled to donate, then so be it, you know. But at the end of the day, the Most High has been keeping me afloat in order for me to give back to the people. But when that website comes, I'm telling y'all, man, it's the website and the new production quality. It's a wrap, man. Let me not say too much because I want to surprise you guys. But anyway,
I have a question.
Yeah, who's that? Navia? Oh,
Navia.
Yeah, call your left. I'm surprised nobody else is jumping in the chat, but hey, okay, go ahead.
So what do you feel like the most important thing in this walk as for us as individuals that will help us all, you know, as a whole, but first we need to work on individually?
What do I think is the most important thing in this walk for us as a whole that we need to work on personally?
Yeah.
Character and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the most important thing, character and integrity. So when people talk behind your back, what are they saying? You know, not in your face, but behind your back. When you commit to something, do you follow through? Are you being selfless and putting other people before yourself? You know what I'm saying? How do you treat your family? You know, how do you treat your close friends? How do you treat strangers when you encounter strangers? You know what I'm saying? So character and integrity is the most important thing because that is the foundation for trust, for love, for commitment, and for success. So if we can work on building our character and have a consistent succession of accomplishments via character building for self and for others, not material wealth or gain, not informational gain, but character. If the information you get does not transform your character, then you need to throw it out and find something else. And that's the most important thing about this walk is that it has to transform character. You know, I haven't always been the person you see today, you know, a person that's modest, person that's respectful, you know, person that is disciplined. I haven't always been this way, and I still have a lot to go. But I understood that the purpose of me receiving consciousness is to transform my character, because that's the biggest battle you can fight is the self. That's the biggest battle. Not anything externally, but self. So in order for us to come together as a community, we have to work on character integrity. And what will actually stem out of that is self-actualization, where you be objective and take things less personally, and when you're able to be diplomatic and tactful. These are skills that we are lacking in our community. You know, sometimes I get flack because I'll entertain certain things with certain people, but I do it because there's a cause behind it. There's a reasoning behind it, right? But I do it also because I want to show diplomacy and tact. You know, somebody can disagree with me and I don't have to take it personally. And I could just have an objective discussion with them and not get mad and make a million videos and curse them out on Facebook. It's not that serious. Life is bigger than that. And I realize a lot of people that are self-centered are people that really want the world to share in their grief and their frustration, as opposed to contributing to the solutions to minimize and deduce the encounters that they have of other people who are on the opposite side of the pole that have an adverse spirit to them. You know what I'm saying? So You know, I'm gonna have to. I've done workshops in the past on diplomacy and tact, character integrity. I'll probably do some more for y'all, so that way you can see that this is the best way that we can actually build our community. And it takes a spiritual foundational base. And when you know the Ruach is empowering you to be more ethical, more moral, more selfless, more objective, then you know that the information is actually yielding the results that it intends to work on you. You know what I'm saying? And even people that have other walks, you know what I'm saying, other subscriptions, I respect it. You know, I don't have to agree with you to respect your position. You know what I'm saying? It's us sharpening each other, you know, and at the end of the day, I got other things to do. So I don't have time to focus on little petty things and become bitter about it, because, you know, that's my world. And sometimes I realize that sometimes this is people's world. And what they've done is that they've created a safety net within this world. And anytime a portion of that net is clipped, they get, you know, agitated, you know, and it concerns them heavily. You know what I'm saying? So I would say character integrity, diplomacy, and tact. And if we integrate these things, we cement it on a spiritual foundation, which us as Hebrew Israelites will be the Torah, and then the teachings within the Tanakh, and some of us the Brit Hadashah. We can use these elements to build character integrity, to empower us to be diplomatic and tactful within our community. You know, sometimes you may have to do it outside your community as well. Sometimes you have to do that, so that way you can aggregate resources and get access to things that people in the community typically don't get. And we have to be able to take this diplomacy and tact to another level. And that doesn't mean that we compromise our faith. That doesn't mean that we compromise what we stand on. It just means that, hey, I'm willing to put this aside for the greater good of when I accomplish this, I can win a sister, or I can get access somewhere in society to bring something back to better empower the community. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. That, and if your spiritual system does not transform character to improve your integrity and then enables you to be more diplomatic and tactful, then it's failing you. You know, and it's going to be very difficult to unite unless we get to those fundamental principles. You know what I mean? So, you know, nothing deep, but this 4 points straight to the point. You know what I mean? So.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Let me see what they have. They said up in here. Anthony Lawson, shout out for the super chat donation. I appreciate that, my brother. Let me see who else is up in here. A non-believer of Gov Lies. I think Jabari is watching. The same moment this live stream started, they gave it a thumbs down. He's crazy. Khalid is internal. Shout out to my brother Khalid is internal. He said he did a review of the debate between me and Jabari. I'm gonna check that out. And no matter how objective it is, I'll be able to receive it, even if it's constructive criticism on my behalf. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that you invested that time to put something like that up, my brother. So shout out to you for that. And also, I hopefully you included Crows on a Straw Man in that review. If not, please update it and add Crows on a Straw Man, because that's a part of the debate that they ambushed me and hindered me from presenting. You know what I'm saying? But the most important thing that I know I solved in that debate is I stuck to the subject matter and I gave a solution. And that's the most important thing, is the solution. And, you know, if anybody follows me on Facebook, I made a post recently, because, you know, the Hebrew Israelite community, we get on a Kemetic community and say, oh, y'all don't have no statute, laws, and commandments, and all y'all talking about the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at, which is interesting because guess what? The laymen never got to see that stuff. Unless they can afford the coffin text during the Middle Kingdom onward, then the people who are privileged to get these coffin texts, they can make it through the Amdu and become an Aku in the afterlife, or and end up either as an Aku or in the field of heavenly reeds. But most people did not have access to it. So a lot of people did not get eternal life. That's interesting. And most people were not part of the royal bloodline either. So everybody wasn't no kings and queens. Specific people were kings and queens. You had a situation where you had no marks that popped up during the first intermediate period. And then we saw some of it come onto the scene during the Middle Kingdom. But then when Senusret II going into Senusret III came on the scene, that power became centralized. And one of the things that rose up as a result of that centralization of power to one Nasut Biti was the Bar Yosef Canal. You know, that stems away from the Nile and diverts some of the Nile water into Lake Meroes, which is the Fayum Basin area. You feel what I'm saying? So on my Facebook post dealing with the Kemetic community, I actually made a post about the legal system in Kemet. And I said that the only way you can actually reconstruct these any kind of statutes or laws that they had in ancient Kemet, you have to look at the cases. There was a lot of cases that occurred in ancient Kemet, and you'll see the precedences that are set by these cases, or the rulings, or the matters that was that came up in these case rulings, and be able to see how it's resolved. Similar to almost like the Mishnah, right? And the Mishnah is a amalgamation of the oral Torah or the oral laws by means of subsequent rulings, right, from the Sanhedrin Council. So you see something similar in Kemet, but it's like scattered all throughout Kemet. It's not consistent. It's scattered throughout Kemet. But if you also go through into a lot of the didactic treatises, you'll actually see one Nasut speaking to a younger prince, or one elderly man speaking to a younger man, and giving them instructions on how to go about life, right? How to deal with people, how to be righteous, and how to rule or govern a people and stuff like that. So, you know, I have a lecture coming up where I'm going into syntax, all of that, and I'm going to give it as a gift to the Kemetic community. The interesting thing is this: even after presenting that to the community, it's not as cohesive as what we have in my culture. But I'm not one to have some kind of ego measuring contest. I try to be very objective when I present information, right? If I can help empower you where you're at, here, fine. You know, and if you observe how I move and you with it and you want to get down, I can give you the tools so that way you can go do it for yourself. But I'm not going to be so biased that if I have information that can help out another community, withhold it from them, all because I have a beef or a gripe with them. It's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? Because I've learned that even by doing that, I've welcomed a lot of people into this walk. You feel what I'm saying? So I try not to allow my scholarship to be biased. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't see people in that community even doing that type of work that's meant to you guys that I'm going to put together. But I want them to have that. Why? Because, you know, I want to make sure that there's an established sense of morality, not just from the 42 negative questions, right? But from regular laymen that had cases that they went to trial for, because they had issues that only dealt with the layman, that we don't see that was written on the walls, right, on the papyri concerning the 42 negative professions, or what's called the Pre Emheru. You know what I'm saying? Which was first on the wall, then it became the coffin text. So I want to ensure that there is a consensus in regards to how to ethically and morally govern that community based on not just the principles of Ma'at, which is very general, but day-to-day routines, right? You can find a lot of that in the Kemetic culture. Now, in the scriptures, we have it more codified and it's more cohesive, so it makes it more easily accessible. But in the Kemetic community, they don't have that, right? You have to do like intense study and define these things and research things and have a desire to find them. But if the leaders are not promoting that, then why should the people look for that? So I want to contribute that to that community to make better, to show them that, hey, the reason why my character is transforming day by day, and though I'm not perfect, it's because of the codification of the statute of those commands that I bind myself to and try to uphold as best that I can. In Kemet, there was a similar system, but none of it survives to this day. So you have to do reconstructive work in order to re-implement it, so that way you can enact order and you can enact a sense of tranquility by agreeing to what they deem to be their African ancestors and how they govern themselves, and be able to say, how can we take that information and simplify it and streamline it so that way it can deal with everyday issues. One community that you can go and research is the Air El Medina, and I have a book somewhere. I don't know where it's at right now. On that community. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So are the laws of Ma'at, are they similar to our laws, statutes, and commandments?
Well, the laws of Ma'at, those are not really laws. Now, those are things that the Nasut would speak. I'll give you an example. So if we look at the Pri-Avani, right, which is an example of the Pre-Emheru, maybe one of the most famous. You have Pepi, you have Unis, you have Seti. These are other Pre-Emherus that was written, and they all were not there was some variations in between them. But this happens when the Nasut is ruling the kingdom. And after he rules the kingdom, he's about to die, but they've created a system so that way he can atone for anything he's done in this life when he makes it to the afterlife. So what happens is there are 42 entities that he encounters before he goes to the weighing of the heart ceremony. And he has to make a confession to these deities that, and I've done my research because there's 42 nomes or major cities that was in ancient Kemet. And these deities had either governed these nomes or governed an element of society within these nomes. And they were responsible for ensuring that there was ma'at in the land, or order, justice, and truth in the land. So the Nasut himself, watch this, any Nasut that made it to the weighing of the heart ceremony was not perfect. He did not fulfill all of the 42 negative confessions. Let me say that again. So any Nasut, before he makes it, because he has to go through gates, he has to go through lakes and rivers, hellfire, he has to go through monsters, he has to go through a whole bunch of things before he even makes it to that point. And this is what the spells were for. The spells was to get him from point A to point B to point C to point D, etc. But when he made it to almost the final stage, he has to confess before these entities and divulge to them something he did not do so he can make it to the field of heavenly reeds. So an example of that is, I have not dishonored the dead. I have not stolen. I have not taken my neighbor's wife. These things he's confessing that he has not done in his life. Does that mean that everybody in ancient Kemet were living their lives that way? No, that's not what that meant. He was speaking for himself. And he was responsible for keeping order in the land, so that way you have the annual inundation of the Nile. You can ensure that you don't have any upsets or disruptions in the way of life. He was responsible for that, but he cannot attend to every person that lived in ancient Kemet. So what will happen is, just a brief overall on the mummification process. They would take every organ of your body out, right, and only leave your heart. Then they would wrap you in linen. And when they wrap in linen, they would soak it in resin to keep the water locked in, the moisture locked in, to preserve the body. They will also put natron, which is a form of a salt that is for preservation. They will put that in the body. But the most important thing is they would take a heart scarab, which would be like an artifact like this. You could type of heart scarab, and they will place that over the heart, and then they will have something engraved on it. And what happens is, when they make it to this final stage where they're making these confessions, guess what the scarab says? Do not testify against me. He's telling his heart not to testify against him while he's making these confessions. Why would you do something like that unless you know there were things that you did that when you get to this point, they're not going to be satisfied with you about? So they were very superstitious, having this heart scarab there to protect themselves from their own heart testifying against them that they did not keep these things that they're telling these deities or these entities that they did not do. But eventually what happens is they fail that stage, and they have to, there's a vote with these entities whether or not, okay, we're going to listen to what this guy says and let him go through, or we're going to send him to get his heart weighed to see if he's actually telling the truth. You feel what I'm saying? So that happens. So when we talk about law, the 42 negative confessions is they have personal law. Okay, we're gonna mute real quick, sis. I'll mute you. It has to do with a personal walk that dealt with the Nasut. It doesn't mean that this is how he ruled the land per se, even though we see some of that in like the instructions of Amenemhotep, instructions of Merikare, the instructions or the maxims of Ptah-hotep. These are just different treatises, didactic treatises or conversational treatises that we can find in ancient Kemet, where one elder is speaking to a younger and he's passing on knowledge. Like he's kicking knowledge, like the old head from the block would kick it to one of the youth. He was doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know how these Nasuts really govern the land per se. The best we have is looking at the various cases and trying to reconstruct how things were done. But you got to remember, every dynasty was different. Old kingdom, middle kingdom, new kingdom, late kingdom was different. Pre-dynastic period was different. After invasion, after the late kingdom was different. Things changed a lot. There was no real cohesive consistency because You know, you had different environmental stresses, political stresses, environmental stresses, and you have to adapt with that, which the ancient Kemetic people did. You know, but again, it makes it difficult for people today trying to reenact that lifestyle if there's no cohesive, codified means of doing so. But you can't reconstruct something. You just gotta do the work. And I'm gonna do it for that community, so that way I can assist the ethic bar or the morality bar in that community, so that way they themselves can bind themselves to a structure, to a protocol, to order, and that way they won't have this sense like I'm my own God, but no, I'm responsible for everybody around me and for ensuring that order, justice, and truth is amongst my community, in my home, and surrounds me when I go interface with other people. You know, there's some good brothers and sisters in that community, but a lot of them, they don't have nothing that they bind themselves to that we can go back and check them on. You know, and the 42 laws of Ma'at is not enough to govern a society. You need way more than that. You know, that's like us just having the 10 commandments. That's not enough to govern a society. That's why the Most High did not stop there. He kept going with more information, because he knew this is a governmental system to ensure that the society is governed in a theocracy, you know, with the Most High is at the head. So hopefully that answers your question, sis. I see 2 other people joined in. I don't know who's there, but please announce yourself.
And Lee.
Who's that? Anthony?
Yeah.
How you doing?
What's up? Shalom.
Shalom, man.
Shalom.
What's going on?
Chilling, man. Trying to learn, brother. Trying to learn.
That's what's up, man. We learn from each other, man. We learning from each other. Thank you for joining on, man. If you have any comments or questions, you could throw it out there. Feel free to do so. But before I allow you to do that, let me grab the other brother that's in the chat.
Hey, what's going on?
What's good, King?
This is brother. It shall be. Getting in your den. You know, just kind of joining late night. Peace to the other brother just joined and the sisters that's on, to the people listening. You know, just sitting back listening, just, you know, seeing what's going on, you know.
That's what's up. I appreciate that, brother. I know the sister Sequoia said she had a question. Brother Anthony, do you have a question or some kind of comment, feedback, input?
Man, this is my first time ever doing this, man. I didn't even know this was like this, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So what you did? You just clicked the link?
Yeah, I just clicked the link, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to learn, man.
That's what's up.
Well,
that's what's up. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
So I'll get back to you, Anthony, if you have one. But it shall be what it shall be. I like that. That's very interesting, man. I like that. Well, let me ask you a question. What inspired that?
Well, you know, I was just going over scripture studying one day, and, you know, that's one of those phrases where it's like real precise. It's almost like, you know, it reminds me of like my mom and my grandmother used to say, if the Lord say the same, we'll do such and such. So it's kind of like on that vein, you know, it's like it's always going to be what it's going to be. So
that's what's up. I like that. All right, go ahead. What's your question?
You know, just standing on top of what you was talking about, you know, I do a little studying of Egypt, of Kemet. About how much would you say does Manetho contributes to what we know about Egypt? I know it provides immensely to the King's List, but you know, the King's List, they be ruling for what, if I'm not mistaken, like hundreds and thousands of years. So how much do you think, you know, they get from Manetho?
Well, to look at what we have of Manetho that's actually preserved today is in the writings of Josephus, the writings of Eusebius, and the writings of Africanus, I believe. And they preserved a lot of his sayings and even his work, Egyptica, where he actually wrote on a history of ancient Kemet. Now, Manetho, you know, Egyptologists still use his work because it helps to fill in gaps in the archaeological record, right? There's something he speaks about, especially when he does the King's List of certain dynasties where we don't have any bodies, right? We don't really have any artifacts. We don't know who ruled. Sometimes they lean on Manetho's testimony of that and use that to fill in a lot of gaps. So Manetho is good with a lot of historical information, but everything Manetho says is not like true. You know, he said a lot of things that when they went back and did the research, they see, okay, this guy, he probably was misinformed, or he got it from a third party and he didn't have a way of verifying information. But Manetho is still, I would say, in Egyptology, where they still go to his information to substantiate a lot of things that they don't see in the archaeological record. You know, and the Kings list is one of them. You know, the issue is the pre-dynastic kings. That's a big problem, because that's a question that I asked. Like, hey, you know, if Manetho was supposed to be a historian of the ancient Kemetic culture, he's given a king's list of kings that we don't have any information for, and they have these deified names or titles. So were these real people that ruled? You know, were these mythological people that ruled? According to him, it seemed like these were real things that ruled before the earthly Herus started ruling. You know what I'm saying? Now that's very important, because, you know, again, some people will say it's myth, some people say, well, it could possibly be true, but, you know, they exaggerated some stuff. It's really not a real consensus on that. But Manetho is accepted by Egyptology. A lot of his testimony is actually used to figure things out. So we can never throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, even with Josephus, some things Josephus said was off, but a lot of things he said was true. You know, we have to go and do the scholastic studies to be able to discern and decipher what it is that he conveyed that is solidified by external evidence, and what is it that he conveyed was either personal or things where he was misinformed or did not know too much of, but he spoke on it anyway. You feel what I'm saying? So hopefully I answered your question out. Yeah, now, I know the sister Sequoia, she wanted to ask a question. She said, the book of Matthew was originally written in Hebrew. Where can I get the source for translation? I was asked to speak again, but I will have more than 5 minutes this time. They only let you speak for 5 minutes with all that information you got?
Yes, I was really like crunched for time. I wanted to go more into a lot of stuff and talk about so many things that's been on my mind, but I only the other speakers before me spoke for a very long time. Some sung songs and everything, and since it was a Christian crowd, the stories they were telling, they were really into it. But then when I came up, even the lady that came up after me, she was like, well, like she didn't even know what to say anymore. But this
what you just said, man, that's deep. That's deep, man. That's deep. But yeah, okay, sis. So you asked actually a question. I've answered this before in my teleconference sessions. I'll send you the link so that way you can catch up on them if I've never shared it with you before. But tonight I'll answer that question for you. I have a lot of information on that. Now, when we deal with what's called the Brit Hadashah, or some people falsely call it the New Testament, because it's not a New Testament. But when you deal with it, when we look at the testimonies of the church fathers, because you have 3 church fathers before the Nicene Council, you have what's called the contemporary church fathers, then you have the apologetic church fathers, and you have the anti-Nicene church fathers, right? And important thing with them is trying to gauge history during that period of time. And you know, there's been some proposals of people saying that you can reconstruct the entire New Testament just off of the testimonies of the church fathers, but that's not entirely true. But there's some truth to it, because they've made a lot of quotes from the manuscripts that they had during their time, and you can actually reconstruct a good portion of the Brit Hadashah from it. One consistent testimony that we have from several church fathers, Eusebius is one, Epiphanes is another one, Jerome is another one, Origen is another one. They all say that the book of Matthew was written by the apostle Matthew, and he wrote it in the tongue of his people during that time, you know, because that was his audience. So they confess to say that at least the book of Matthew was written in Hebrew. Another witness we have to that is the church fathers making all of these apologetic works about people who had jacked up Christologies, right, or the wrong understanding of who Christ was. And some of these groups were Israelite groups, one of them being the Ebionites, another one being the Nazarenes. You have something called the gospel according to the Ebionites, or the gospel according to the Hebrews. You have the Hebrew gospel of Matthew, and you'll hear them sometimes speak as if these works are separate, speak as if it's the same thing. But interestingly, they have quoted from this work. An example is Origen was able to speak Hebrew. Jerome spoke Hebrew. Right? A lot of the church fathers, they didn't really speak Hebrew. A lot of the information on the so-called Tanakh either came from their encounters with other Jews or from the Septuagint, which was in Greek, which they could read. You know what I'm saying? So when they quoted from what they read, I would say Origen, I would say Jerome. I'm missing somebody. I think it's Eusebius. I think it's Eusebius, if I'm not mistaken, or Epiphanes, one of them. I'm gonna go back over it to confirm it. Spoke Hebrew. They quoted from this. Matter of fact, if you do a simple Google search, do a Google search that's called Gospel According to the Ebionites. This is a project I've been working on for a couple of years and reconstructing the original Brit Hadashah based on history, based on archaeology, based on textual criticism, and proper exegesis, you know, to be able to discern what we have there, using other texts such as the Syriac Sinaiticus, the Peshitta, also going into the Ethiopic Ge'ez Bible, looking at these other manuscripts, the early manuscript text types, which is the Alexandrian text types, which came out of Alexandria, the codexes that we have, Codex Alexandrinus, Codex Vaticanus, Codex Sinaiticus, and textually comparing it to the Byzantine text type families, because what happened was you had a huge community of Yahudim that lived in Alexandria. And there's a book called the African Gospel According to Mark. That's an excellent book. I actually have it. I wish I was prepared for this discussion. I could just bring all my books, but it's called the African Gospel According to Mark. Please get that book. That's an excellent book. And you'll see how this message of Yahusha reached its way into Alexandria or into Egypt, right? And the reason why I bring that up is because when reconstructing the original, what we call Gospels, I would say that there's different theories. You know, you have the Markian priority theory, which proposes that the book of Mark was actually written first because it was a much shorter work. And the places where Luke and Matthew agree is when it also agrees with Mark. The places where they disagree is because that it's either different eyewitness accounts or there's an issue with harmonization. But they also have this proposal that there's what's called the manuscript Q or document Q, which is a second party source that they may have borrowed from in order to construct their gospels. I've done a lot of work on a lot of that, and I don't consume this whole session talking about it. But what I will say is that I have lecture coming out on a lot of things. I just want to get the production quality up so that way it can be much better for the listening audience. But reconstructing it, sis, you got to go back through the testimonies of the church fathers, see what they speak about the Ebionites and the Nazarenes and the work that they had, the quotations that they made from it. So if you go to the, and it's Epiphanes, if you go to the Gospel of the Ebionites and you scroll to, is it the Gospel of Ebionites? Yes. To composition and read that. There's a Wikipedia article that's up, but I have some .edu articles as well that you can read on that. Gospel according to the Ebionites, or the Gospel of the Ebionites, or the Gospel according to the Hebrews. You'll see there's quotations, and in those quotations, you can use it to textually compare. Matter of fact, go to the Gospel of the Hebrews, and when you read that, you'll see where it says content. Go to Wikipedia. It'll say content. And when you go there, it'll list for you the various quotes that you can textually compare to the Koine Greek tradition or the Syriac tradition. I know I had a discussion on Facebook. I'm gonna have to mute you guys real quick because I hear some noise. I'll mute y'all in a minute. Let me just mute y'all. That I had a discussion on Facebook where a brother was asking me about the Syriac, and he said, "Hey, there's a Peshitta predate the Greek manuscripts," and I told him not necessarily, with the exception of the book of Matthew. Book of Matthew was originally in Hebrew, and that's attested by the church fathers. But what happened was you had two traditions that was streaming out. You had this Greek tradition and you have the Syriac tradition, you know. And when they went to Antioch, the disciples, when they went to Antioch, the Talmudim, or the students of Yahusha, they actually started a movement out there, and that's the source of that tradition. Then you have these converts that were coming in, and Koine Greek was the one of the lingua franca words during that time. So a lot of the message was either natively in Koine Greek. A lot of Shaul's writings was in Greek natively. And some of the other epistles were in Syriac, or some of them were then later translated to Greek. So there's a real, the issue is this: a lot of the scholars, Orthodox scholars, they hold on to the fact that the Greek tradition is the only real tradition, because Greek is an Indo-European language, and Greek is their native language of understanding. You know, they try to stay away from putting a precedent on the Syriac, you know, or any other kind of Semitic source, because then what it will do is that it will return you immediately back to the Hebraic roots of the worldview of the authors of the text, which they try to avoid. So that's why they like to engage in the Koine Greek, master the Greek, and be able to have an authority in regards to what was being said. But even if the text was written in Greek, it would have been a secondary language to the authors, right? So that poses a big problem. If I'm an American in America, and there's a story of something that happens in America, let's say World Trade Center, and I take that message of the World Trade Center, well, you know, there's movies that we watch on the World Trade Center, right, about the conspiracy and all of that. And I was to take that story, and I was to go to Chile and speak to a community in Chile that don't speak English, right? But let's say I've spent time there, I've learned the language. It's a secondary language to me. But the problem is the concepts that's formulated in the translated story is not originally in that translated language, right? Or that secondary language. So a lot can get lost in translation. So that's why it is up to us to go back and say, how can we put this text back in its Hebraic worldview? And this is a contention that I have with some of my brothers in the Tanakh only community that don't subscribe to Brit Hadashah, and I don't try to proselytize. But an issue I have with them when you're dealing with split words, loan words, idioms, why are these things there in the text if it's a native Greek construction? You wouldn't need to have these things there if it was written natively in Greek to a Greek audience by a Greek author. It wouldn't be there. But because these authors were Israelites communicating the message to other peoples in other languages, this is why you find these things there, because that's the best way they convey the story. And if you go back, like, for example, if I say kick the bucket, if I say Anthony, and Anthony, I'm not wishing this on you, I'm just using you as an example. All right. Yah forbid, I said Anthony kicked the bucket, and I went to tell this story to this community in Chile, and I say it directly like that in their language, they're gonna be like, what? They're not gonna know what that means unless they're familiar with our culture. Idiom is a cultural expression that is known by the people of the culture that outsiders would not be able to translate in their language unless they do what's called a dynamic equivalency translation, which is a thought for thought translation. I'm gonna see what idiom you use, find a comparative idiom in my culture, and then translate that idiom to the idiom in my culture as opposed to directly translating it. So these things show up there in the Brit Hadashah. It causes a big problem. Not just that, loan words, right? Racha is a loan word. Ela lama sabachthani, that's a loan word. Okay. Korban is a loan word. Why are loan words there in a Greek text that's supposed to be natively in Greek? You wouldn't need to put these loan words there if it was written, if the story was told by a Greek author to a Greek audience. You would not need to borrow from somebody else's culture to tell the story. So it poses a problem when we look at it from a linguistic, literary perspective. So hopefully that begins to answer your question, sis. But let me show you this. There's a website, and I'm going to give you a website now. First, let me just bring up the document from the website, and y'all can go and check the website. It's a great informational website. Matter of fact, this website is very unbiased, and it doesn't even subscribe to a lot of stuff that it shares on there, which I can respect that they were biased in even sharing it. But if you go to this website, it's called HebrewGospel.com. Please go to that site, sis. Read everything there. I'm going to share my screen for a second so you can see. It. All right. So if you can see my screen, let me zoom out. Let me go fit screen. All right. Let me zoom in because this looks crazy. Zoom in. Right. And if you go here, it goes into the Matthew, Hebrew, and Greek gospel, and it goes into everything. Testimony of Irenaeus, testimony of origin, which I mentioned, testimony of Eusebius, which I mentioned, right? And there's several, here's part 2 right here. More evidence. Let me do fit page and then zoom in, and you can see more information all here, everything. So what I would encourage you to do, sis, go to that website I gave you, the Wikipedia website called Gospel of the Hebrews, and I want you to write down and take an account of all those this Gospel of the Hebrews manuscript that they had, and when you get it, write it down, textually compare it to what you find in the Syriac translation, in the Koine Greek translation, and even the Ethiopic Ge'ez translation, which is an excellent translation. I have that as well. Compare it to those, and then go back and read that website. Read everything on that website, and write down all of those testimonies in regards to whether most of the testimonies agree, some of the testimonies disagree, right? Because these church fathers was getting information sometimes firsthand, sometimes third, second hand. Sometimes it was a tradition that they heard or a tale that they heard, but they all testified that the general consensus is that the book of Matthew was written in Hebrew, and that website pretty much encapsulates that. Go back and read it. Read the gospel codes in the Hebrews. Study the Ebionites and the Nazarenes. Matter of fact, there's an actual book. I'm gonna give you a reference to a book on that. So that way you can get it, or if you want, you can email me and I can send it to you. My email is kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat. But I'm going to show you this book that you can get where it tells you about these sects and what these sects believed, what their origins were according to the church fathers' testimony. Because unfortunately, we don't have none of their works. You know why? Because they were burned. Yeah, it's a big conspiracy. It's crazy for a group that was fake. Because remember, in the 2nd, 3rd, going into the 4th century BCE, you had the Yahudim, you had the Goyim converts of what's called Christianity, which should have been Messianism, classical Messianism or historic Messianism. But then you had a 3rd sect that was labeled Jewish Christians. And this 3rd sect were persecuted by the Christians and the Jews until they were completely wiped out, completely absorbed, and their works were all burned. And just end up missing. Well, why was there concerted, concentrated effort to distinguish this group? Interesting. And I taught this on a lecture that I did called "A Patriarchal Priesthood in the Bible Unveiled." If you go to the 2nd video, I go in depth into this, and it's very eye-opening. And this is what actually cemented me into subscribing to being a messianic before I did further research. Is when I found out historically what happened to this group of people and why they were hated so much by the two polarized groups of that time. It's a very interesting study. Matter of fact, there's books that's written on it, but nobody shares this information. If you go back to that lecture, I touch on those books, but let me give you a reference real quick so you can go back and study for yourself. Let me do a search on my network attached storage on my cloud device that I've set up in my house. And let me find this book. Let me find this book. It is called, oh, here we go. This is it. This is one of those many books. Let me share the screen so you can see. Hold on. Can y'all see my screen? Can y'all see the screen?
Nah, just your live pic.
You can't see my video?
No.
Oh, damn. It's not good. Can you see what I have on the screen right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yes.
Okay, it says The History of Jewish Christianity. You see that?
Yes.
This is by Hugh Snonfield. So if y'all want this book, let me know. But this book goes into the various groups and the testimonies of those groups during that time. There's another book. Let me find it. Give me a second. There's another book that I have. Where is it at? Is this it? Oh yeah, here's another. Well, it's not really a book, but it's like a quick guide. Let me go ahead and share that.
But while you're pulling that up, there's this Karaite Jew. He does a good lecture on the Hebrew Matthew.
Yeah. And for people that know, kara in Hebrew means to call. So the Karaite Jews believe that they were called, but they subscribe to Torah only. They don't subscribe to the rabbinical teaching stages. They disregard that, right? So that's the difference between a Karaite Yahud and a rabbinical Yahud. You know, one of them follows the Torah only and their interpretation of Torah, and to allow Torah to interpret itself and every man to interpret it from there, as opposed to the rabbinical school where they subscribe to the Talmud and the sages, etc. You know what I mean? So those are the differences between the two. And what happens is a lot of these Karaite individuals inspired a lot of these communities that rose up during that time. More importantly, the Nazarenes and the Ebionites. That's why they speak on them sometimes. So this goes into it for you. This it's a very short read. I mean, it ends on page 21. You know, and you can go email for it or just email me and I'll send it to you. But this sums up the historic phenomena and theology of the Nazarenes and Ebionites. And there's another book that I have. It's another book that I have. I think it's on the sex at the time. So let me do. And I have a book on Christology. Let's see. Where is that at? Gabriel's the Greek Bible. I don't know. I gotta look for this. I gotta look for this book and give it to y'all. Let me just put my email in the chat, and y'all can check out. Matter of fact, let me put it in the general chat, and y'all can go and email me, and I'll give it to you for those who are interested in that. But are you there, Sister Sequoia?
Yes, I'm here still.
All right. Did that help?
That helped a lot.
Yeah, I posted my email address in the chat. So just send me an email and I'll send you what I have. Or anybody's interested in that subject matter, send me an email. I'll give you like 3, 4, 5 books and references and stuff. So it's an interesting study that a lot of people do not do, because my thing is, if I'm going to be messianic, my objective is to restore the messianism prior to the emergence of political Christianity, or what's called Christendom. And what happens is Christendom was formulated to be a kingdom that's justified by the vicar of Christ, the one that stands in the place of Christ. And these are converts to this movement who are mostly Gentiles, the church fathers, and it's formulated off of their works or their interpretation of this movement, all the way until it became a political tool that was used in order to reunite Rome and strengthen Rome after it was dying, because the pagan religions was, people were abdicating them or they were leaving them to join Christianity. So my objective is to restore the pristine state, or reconstruct the understanding of the pristine state of these messianic Yahudim before they were terminated. They were completely absolved, terminated, destroyed, books burnt by the late 4th century going into the 5th century BCE, right? And when you do the study of these individuals, you'll see that what's reflected today in Christianity is totally different. And even some Messianic Hebrew Israelites, they're not even, a lot of them just blackwash Christianity, you know what I'm saying? So my objective is to reconstruct and restore that, as well as reconstructing and restoring the pre-exilic ancient Israelite culture. So these are 2 studies that my expertise is in, so to say, for lack of better words, where it's in the pre-exilic ancient Israelite culture, which is from the Exodus to the captivity, the Assyrian Babylonian captivity, and the emergence of the century CE, Nazarene Ebionites and Messianic movement, all the way until its destruction during the 4th, 5th, and BCE, where it was fully, these individuals was fully either absorbed into Christianity or Judaism, or they were just completely wiped out. And in my lecture, I showed you a creed at Constantinople, if I'm not mistaken, that you had to take, where you renounce the teachings of this group in order for you to join the church. It's deep, man. It's really serious stuff. So this is stuff that I study heavily in, that I enjoy studying and I enjoy sharing. And that's where my cultivation is at in regards to where I stand today. So if you really want to know my worldview, you have to study pre-exilic ancient Israel, and you have to study the historic messianic movement. And some of the Nazarenes and Ebionites embodied it, but there was other teaching and other groups that was around as well. And they had a totally different worldview than the Christians during the time. And this is why you got to study Christianity's emergence through the church fathers at the time and how they spoke about these groups, right? They spoke, some of them call them heretics. Justin Martyr actually accepted them as being really faith-based followers. But then later on, the apologetic generation of church fathers actually ridiculed them, redeemed them, ridiculed them, rejected them, and spoke negatively about these groups. And their teachings helped to formulate the Ante-Nicene church fathers, a generation that was later succeeded them right into the Nicene period. And then from there, the various councils. You also have to study the church councils. If you don't study the edicts that came forth from the church councils, if you call yourself a Hebrew or Israelite, you may be subscribing to one of these creeds and not even be aware of it. So I've rejected these creeds. I don't follow none of these creeds, right? None of these creeds stick to me because I don't fall in that category, because I've done the study and I've had transcripts of all of these creeds that was created after the summation of these councils. So you can see generally what they spoke about, what they discussed, the issues that they pertain to, what theological precedences were set. I've rejected all of that because that had nothing to do with the community who I study, which predates all of that. So it behooves us to study these things and put us back in a Hebraic perspective that the first followers who were real Israelites, you know, of the movement, what they believed, what they taught, and how their teachings were compromised, destroyed, and how they were absorbed. It's an excellent study. So even by you asking that question 6 is going to bring you onto a journey that you've probably never opened up before. And I hope it empowers and enlightens you. Yeah, Alo Devar. All right, so let me check the chat real quick. What sources do you have for pre-exilic Israel? The brother just looking asked that. I don't know if you're familiar with my work. If you are familiar with my work, go back and watch some of my lectures. One lecture is called The Patriarchal Priesthood in the Bible Unveiled. Another lecture is called The Jubilee of B1, :14-18. Read exilic Israel's menological identity from the captivity of Babylon and others. That's under the heading cultural liberation through research and edification. I don't know why I forgot. That's crazy. But anyway, if you go back and watch those lectures, if you go back and watch the Minority Report, if you go back and watch my lecture called Revisiting Exodus 12:37, how many Israelites actually exited out of Egypt. If you go back and watch my video that's called Was the Ancient Israelites Henotheists? All of these videos have information. Somebody says Arius. Yes. Oh, shout out to my brother Menez Meech. That is a Kemetic brother who is objective and respects my work. And I have to shout him out because he is very non-biased, even with his particular worldview. And I respect that brother highly. I met him in Detroit, and he's a good brother, man. That's a really good brother right there. And he's in this group, in this chat right now, you know, learning, sharing, because he studies himself, but he's not biased when it comes to me and him interfacing. So I have to shout that brother out. Shout out to the people of the book, Soya Cavalier, Kokab Tafari. Let me see, Tanika West. She's on the team now. So shout out to Tanika West. Who else did I miss? Flashing Lights. Shout out to Flashing Lights. Slim Reds Adams. Shout out to Slim Reds Adams. And y'all saying a lot of stuff. Somebody says Yiddish is closer to English than it is to Hebrew. Just looking, you are absolutely correct. And I want people to look up videos on YouTube, type in Yiddish and type in Hebrew, or type in Yiddish versus Hebrew, and you'll see that it's two totally different things. It's two totally different things. And I'm probably going to do a short video on that and post that so people can understand that linguistically and phonologically speaking, using proper phonetics, you can identify that these are two different things. One is a Germanic dialect that uses Hebrew characters, and the other one is just natively Hebrew. whether it's modern Hebrew or whether it's biblical or classical Hebrew. So there are two different things altogether. So that is completely correct right there. The Bedouins lived a wandering life in the Euphrates was its eastern boundary. It seems like the Jews used a lot of borrowed European words. They did because of acculturation. You got to remember the Israelites was kicked out the land, a lot of them during the Bar Kokhba revolt in 135 CE. And then later on, they were kicked out in the middle of the 3rd century, right upon the cups of the Nicene Council. They were expelled, kicked out the land. The last Sanhedrin Council involved Hillel II and creating a mathematical equation for the Hebraic calendar, because they would no longer really be centered in Jerusalem to be able to do the FBC and all that other good stuff. So they created a mathematical system that could be used in synagogues and other places outside of Jerusalem, so that way they can tell time in order to keep the feast. That was the last Sanhedrin Council, but after that, a whole influx of Israelites were kicked out. I want you to go and look up the Samaritan and Roman wars. A lot of people don't even know about that. The Samaritans banged on the Romans, but you know what? They had it coming to them, because when the Yahudim was fighting Romans, the Samaritans said, oh, we're going to stay out of this. That's not our fight. We're not even the same people. We're going to stay out of this. So what they did was they turned their back while the Yahudim got whooped, because if they would have joined the Yahudim, they would have had a real fighting chance. They turned their back on them, and then later on during the 5th, 6th centuries, then they got into battle with the Roman, although at that time, the Roman Empire, which was transverted into the Roman Catholic Church, right? Look up the Samaritan Samaritan Roman wars. A lot of people don't even know that exists. Look, that's a very interesting study. But again, the people were kicked out. When they kicked out, a lot of the scribes, Pharisees, they went to Tiberias, and they had a huge community in Tiberias. And when you look up Tiberias, you see where it's situated at. And during this period of time, you see the people that lived there, right? That's why later on, Moshe ben Asher, that's part of the Masoretic community, helped formulate the Masoretic text that we have today with the diacritic markings, and that was to help preserve the vocalization, Tiberian vocalization system that they maintained. But it also was Indo-European friendly. It allowed outsiders to actually speak the Hebrew that was in the text, because without the diacritic marks, it made it very difficult for these Indo-European peoples to actually understand the text, or anybody for that matter who was not intrinsically part of that community, or who were not endogenously part of that community. All right. So let me see. What else is there? Yahusha was a Nazarite. I don't know if he was a Nazarite or not. There's a lot of discussion on that. I'll probably talk about that another time, but that's a good great question to ask for people to go research it. Yes, Black App, are you interested in what I said? What's the best way to start learning Hebrew? Truth and Justice, send me an email and I'll send you some books to get you started, some charts and all of that fun stuff to get you started with Hebrew. Ayash Hawaii said, did you watch the Jabari versus Iron Lex debate? Yes, I did, but I really don't want to comment on it. At least not right now, not while it's fresh. So I'll probably wait till things die down and I'll give my commentary on that. Somebody says, also, is there a Kingdom Harbinger Ministry affiliate in Central Florida? I'm interested in studying with you and your organization. Truth and Justice, not yet. We're working on that. Matter of fact, if you want to be one of the founders for that there by joining the organization, send me an email to kingdomharbinger@gmail.com and we'll get something set up, because I know some brothers and sisters that's out there. They ask me all the time about setting stuff up in Central Florida. I know some people that lived in Orlando area, outside the Orlando area, that asked that question. So we can definitely get something started for you guys out there. I definitely don't want nobody to be alone. And this is my word to y'all. When I come across an influx of financial resources, all y'all that's in here, I'm gonna make sure that y'all are good in regards to having a community that can help your societal ills, as well as a place you can be edified, encouraged, and empowered at, and better equipped to defend your worldview and to cement yourself in the confidence of what you subscribe to. Menace Meech, if you didn't see earlier, when this video live stream is over, go back and check what I said about the Kemetic culture and my attempt to reconstruct the legal code in ancient Kemet through the various case studies that I've done with the various things that occurred there. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing a lot of interesting studies, and I'm also studying and dealing with the community at El Lahun I'm dealing with the community at the Air El Medina because I want to give teachings on that to show people how the middle class people lived, you know, based on their own testimonies, you know, their issues, their property issues, inheritance issues, oracles, because they wanted answers on things, to show you how to treat in their community. You know, people were paid with bread and beer. Imagine that. Imagine when you working every day, you're getting either grain, bread, or beer. I mean, that's some kind of life to live, man. You know, if most of us was getting paid in bread, beer, and grain, I don't know how many of us would be working at our job today. You know what I'm saying? But it was a monetary system they used to barter the trade. There was also other trades that people fished and people were pastoralists, worked administration. You know, there was a lot of other things to do. Some people were priests. There was a lot of various jobs there, but the people that worked you had the Middle Kingdom of Elohim that dealt with the pyramids that was along the Bar Yosef Canal, and then you have there's also Old Kingdom community. I forgot the name of that community that worked on the pyramids of Khufu, and the rest. And then you had those that in the New Kingdom, which is the Air Medina, that dealt with the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. And when you study those sites and look at all the information you have those sites, you'll see how the middle class people lived. And it was vastly different than in the Sut BT and the upper elitists and administrators. You know what I'm saying? So I'm concerned with how do the people perceive, you know, their environment, and how did they perceive the king, and how did they perceive the elitists, and how did they perceive the lower class? You know, and that's a very interesting study because it's non-biased, because those people, we are looking into their personal diaries, right? So they're not writing official state administrative things in order to ensure the well-being of the house, the Per'ah, or the house of the great house of Pharaoh. You know what I'm saying? They were just writing personal things and have personal issues and personal artifacts. And you get to learn a lot about those people, you know, during those times. It's very intriguing study. And there's several books. One of them is called Pharaoh's Workmen. Get that book. That's an excellent read. I have it somewhere. Excellent read. Read that book, man. That's a book. And there's a couple other books that deal with the Elohim community too, during the Middle Kingdom and Open community as well. Seeing that, you get to see how the laymen live. Also, this is why I appreciate anthropology and archaeology in regards to studying ancient pieces of Israel, because a lot of stuff in scriptures you don't really get I mean, the scriptures speak about how some laymen lived, and the scripture is very non-biased in some ways too, but you get more of the information by looking at reality and looking at these various Jewish sites or these Israelite sites and looking at various ethnic markers to see how these people lived, what kind of pottery they had natively, pottery that was expensive that they couldn't afford, pottery that they imported, pottery that they started themselves that we see in the Iron Age 1 period. You get to see ethnic markers such as cultic items that they were buried with, things that they would use, how they were buried, fetal positions, semi-fetal, head to the south facing the west, head to the south facing the east. You know, you get to see different items they were buried with, different animals that they were buried with, whether these animals were used for food or used for domestication to be pastoralists. And we also have pastoralist sites also in ancient Kemet. You know, matter of fact, Napata was a pastoralist grazing area. You know what I'm saying? Before that dried up and the people started settling along the Nile. You know what I'm saying? So pastoralism was always a common life of people in in ancient Kemet and Nubia. Matter of fact, if you look at the Al-Lahun and the Temple Hun, you'll see that a lot of those people that was coming in there were people from Taseti, or the Nubian pastoralists that were looking for work and lodging along the Nile. It's a very interesting study if you go back and research it. So I try not to be biased, and I can speak on a variety of different subject matters so that people can't call me biased, you know, when I speak my perspective on something. You know, I show that I'm aware of these things. You feel me? So let me see. Somebody says, Divine, you know, Jabari tried to play Zion Lex. Yeah, Khalid, Eternal, I know. They play each other, actually. You know, Zion Lex is my brother. I have love for him. But there's some times that I see that he says or does things that I don't agree with, and I tell him on the side. I don't blast him publicly. I'll inbox him, or if I get to speak with him, I'll share with him. My number one thing with him, I tell him, brother, you know, just be a little bit more disciplined and not allowing people to get under your skin, and you can better present your nation. You feel what I'm saying? Even if somebody's lying, if you're telling the truth, you don't have to fight for the truth. The truth will speak for itself. So I think the brother is very meticulous and very wise, you know, in his lane of study. But, you know, sometimes he lets other things get the best of him. Brother Jabari is very studied, and he knows, you know, in his culture, dealing with the spirituality, reconstructing the spirituality of ancient Kemet, which I gave him credit for. He does a pretty decent job with that, even though I have a few contentions in that area. But when it's to my worldview, you know, he has not done enough study. He studied, has not done enough study. If you go back and watch Crows on a Straw Man, you'll see that a lot of information Jabari has not touched. Even when I spoke with him, I could tell he doesn't know that information. So I'm not going to hold it against him. I don't like when people wear these on their sleeve, like that makes you better than anybody else. It doesn't. It just gives you a greater obligation to being truthful than anybody else who do not have that degree. And there are people who excel greater than people with degrees. Matter of fact, you know, when I do my 9 to 5, because I actually do 9 to 5, that I'm going to transition away from. I get paid a good salary. I get paid more than some people that I know that have degrees. I get paid a better salary than them, and I don't have a college degree. I've been to college. I did 3 years at college, but I didn't graduate. You feel what I'm saying? I went to 2 colleges, actually. One I did 2 semesters in, one I did 3 years in, and I didn't graduate. But I was able to train myself in the. I'm actually working. I'm saying, and I have a good job. My job is easy. It's not stressful to do my other work that I do. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna transition away from doing that full time and on my time to y'all soon. But the point I'm trying to make is that I don't have a degree, and in order for me to have the position I have, you need a master's degree, you need X amount of experience, and you need to have certifications in order to have the job that I have. I don't have none of those things. And I'm saying it's being able to train myself diligently, seeing where the market was going, finding the niche in that market, look at the trend to where that is expanding, and being able to train myself with the tools necessary to be successful in that realm. And I was able to be successful. You know, so in your work ethic, you know, people who do get these, you know, I look up to them for their work ethic. I don't look at them to be snobberish, look down on people who don't have. They have a high obligation to truth and for lifting other people up to bring them at their level, especially if they're in your community. So that's my perspective on that. And you know, I debated Jabari, and the debate, I believe that it tilted in my favor only because of the 3rd round, where that was the whole basis of the discussion. You know, what can you extract from your culture to solve issues in the community? And that's what I presented. You know, that was the most important thing to me. And it was supposed to be a sit-down discussion and turn into debate, but that's neither here nor there. But in regards to the controversy with Jabari and Zion Lex, I don't want to speak too prematurely on it because it still hasn't simmered down yet. And, you know, I can't really say I'm going to be biased in judging that from an Israelite worldview. That's my perspective, but I'm objective, give my opinion on how it went, and do so tactfully, right? Because I'm not here to be an instigator. I'm not here to start problems or reignite things. You know, I just want to give my scholarly opinion. And, you know, people in the community, some people value my scholarly opinion, and I appreciate those who do. You feel what I'm saying? Why do they mention Ma'at as actual law when it's an afterlife perspective? Kemet never had laws while alive, correct? Yes, Kemet did have laws while they were alive, but we don't have any of it preserved today. So it makes it very difficult for us to ascertain what those exact laws actually were. And that's why I said that, you know, I'm going to do a lecture where I'm going to reconstruct a lot of these things and give this information to the Kemetic community so that they could play with it and actually use it to establish a pact with the legal codes that went forth from out of their culture, if they're not familiar with that level of study. But like I was saying earlier, a lot of the 4290 confessions really pertain to the Nasut himself, right? And did not particularly pertain to all the people in all the land. You gotta remember, it was a very huge place from the Nile Delta all the way to the first cataract in the south towards Tasseti or Nubia. That's a long stretch of land, and it was various nomes, right? So things changed, and you had the Old Kingdom, first intermediate period, Middle Kingdom, second intermediate period, third, New Kingdom, third intermediate period. Then you had the Late Kingdom, etc. There's so many changes, so many things that was going and happening on. This is why you got to look at the legal cases in order to figure out, you know, what certain matters were that came up, how they were decided, who decided them, what were the repercussions. You know, sometimes they cut off noses, you know, and I have a post on Facebook that showed that. You know, that was one of the penalties for adultery and other things, you know. And one of them was flogging. Other things was you had to pay restitution. You know, there's various ways that in antiquity that they punish people, or restitution had to be made for things. We also see that in the Israelite culture as well. You know, so I'm not biased when it comes to that, you know. But in that regard, you know, there was laws. There was not a lawless society. You know, anybody that says that is wrong. They were not a lawless society, right? And this is me speaking objectively. But what happens is today we don't know we don't have a codified system of laws or protocols that was followed. I mean, there was some protocols that was followed based on what we read about the lives of the Nasut, BT, but from the regular common folk and how they govern their day-to-day lives and what they covenant themselves towards, we don't have that information. So all it is really speculation based on good information. But at the end of the day, it's speculation and it's relative, you know. But I'm just going to compile it so that way I can give my perspective on it and give it back to the community to help contribute to that community and their growth as well. You feel what I'm saying? So let me see. Somebody says, I like the way you debated with Jabbar because you were well-studied and confident. You didn't feel intimidated, nor did you act cocky. That's correct. And if you watch the debate, you see when I opened up, I said that a good teacher is first a student, and then I'm here to learn, right? I didn't even want to give an intro, but Jabari did not want to feel awkward by giving all his credentials and no intro was given of me. Because you can ask him. I refused. I didn't want to give it at first, but he suggested that I did. So I said, okay, I'll give it. And, you know, and he says, well, I think I should give mine too so the community can get familiar with who I am because they don't know who I am yet. And I said, okay. I said, but I really don't want to give mine because that's not important. The important thing is the information. And because I felt that it was very biased and forcing me to address or rebuttal claims that was made in the previous video and not even get into the heart of my real lecture, that's another I kept asking. If you listen to my live stream, you hear him say, okay, Devon, you gonna do your 10, 15 minutes? And I'm like, yeah, you know, but it didn't turn out that way. So I didn't really get to put that on record, but it's okay. Go back to Pros on a Straw Man. You can see my information on that. And my objective is just to defend, you know. I'm not here to attack Kemet or the Kemetic culture. That's not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do is show the pitfalls in that culture, as well as the good accomplishment, also show the pitfalls that people try to hide or cover up. I do the same thing with the Israelite community. If you go and anybody that follows me, you see that I brought a lot of things about the Israelite community that a lot of people were just like, what are you talking about? Like, one thing is henotheism. What henotheism? What are you talking about? Why people get heated over that, right? When I talk about the reconstructed minological system that they had, people going up in arms about that. You know, when I talk about human sacrifice that was required in the culture, in Torah, and even in the rest of the Tanakh, people go up in arms about it. Why? Because these are things that are taboo, because there are systems in place that people have vested in. They're not doing inductive analysis on the data. They're doing a deductive analysis, having presuppositions already and cherry picking information to substantiate their worldview. I don't address my studies that way. My methods is different. If you go back and watch Crows on a Straw Man, I show you my whole methodology and the system that I use to fact check, correct, establish my hypothesis, recheck it, feed it with information like an algorithm, see what it outputs, and come to my conclusion. You know what I'm saying? And different methodology that I utilize that the community is really not given. So at the end of the day, it's not about my credentials. It's not about my accomplishments. At the end of the day, if I gave you something that can transform your character, and if I was able to contribute that for you, then I know that my success lies there. You feel what I'm saying? Let me give a shout out to my brother D Red real quick. Shalom D Red, if you're there, just say shalom back to me. Say shalom to the people. If you're not there, can't hear you. You muted out. Okay, I don't know why I can't unmute him. All right, my brother James in the building. Say what's up to the family, James.
Shalom, shalom, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey, shalom, Mark. I just wanted to come in and say shalom to everybody and just participate in what you're bringing forth, man. I find it very interesting. You know, I've been a fan for a while. So I'm just here to join in a bit and listen in to what you got to say.
I appreciate that. Now, I have a video that I'm going to do dealing with the Midianites and the Shashu of Yahoo, right? because I was on the Dagger Squad show. And it's crazy because when I got on there, it was a debate between So Real, who was a Christian, and Garfield. And after that, me and Garfield had a great bill for an hour, you know, and I was just going back and forth with a great bill. And then Maru comes out of nowhere and just ambushes me about the Midianites and the Shashu of Yahoo. And I'm like, dude, we having a good build and you just come out of left field. So I did him on that. He didn't even break down. He couldn't break down a Mejunetra. Him or got the other brother's name, Sean. And he's part of the Shesh Mejunetra group. So I'm not saying they don't know Mejunetra. They couldn't read it on what I was showing to them. And they obviously don't understand what a radiation is. So let me explain this to people. I'm not going to get into how I'm going to respond to that because this is not an attack or shot at them. It's just that they're misinformed of some things and I just want to educate them on it, right? But damn, I forgot what I was just going to say. What was I saying? Oh, when you go to certain museums have recreations of artifacts that they don't physically have at the museum. So what happens is they create these reconstructions in order to give the audience an idea of what the original artifact looked like. Is that recreation fake? Of course it's fake, but it's replicating something that's real. So if I show you an artifact that is a recreation, the artifact, not the artifact, the instrument that I'm showing you that's a recreation, obviously that is not real, but it's been reconstructed or it's a replica of something that is actually real. It got to the point where these brothers were saying that this artifact wasn't real. And I'm like, have y'all been to the Temple of Solab? And if you haven't been, have y'all seen images for the Temple of Solab? I mean, you have what's called hypo-style walls. And these hypo-style walls is where you see these large columns and they will have these shens or the shenu, plural, carved in them in certain areas. And you'll see various captives and the name of those captives or who those people are engraved in those shens, or what they call in French a cartouche. And the problem was the brother was saying that, oh, I know that's fake because look at the cloud bubbling around it. I was like, what? And then I said to him, did you see the actual columns? Do you even know who excavated there? Do you even know the history of the Temple of Solab? I mean, they don't know this information. And, you know, I try not to come off too strong to be like a know-it-all. I try to meet people where they're at. And if I see people are trying to argue with me and there's certain pieces of information they're not privy on, then I'll scale back some and say, you know, I'm not going to go, because if I go full steam ahead, I'm casting pearl before swines and they're not going to respect or understand it. But I say this to you, about James, because if you go back and look up, go to Dagger Squad. Shout out to Brother Garfield because he was respectful and we had a great build. So I had no question. He didn't even jump into that. He tried to moderate it actually because Maru and then Sean had to jump in and help Maru to come at me. But go back and watch it. It's called Garfield and So Real Guest Appearance by Divine Prospect. Look that up. And when you watch that, scroll all the way to the last hour and watch Maru try to ambush me on the Midianites and try to ambush me on the Shashu of Yahoo. And watch how I handled them. I think I did a pretty good job for somebody that was not prepared to have a debate. I was just coming on here for a discussion. But now that they brought these subject matters up, I'm going to do an actual video on it so that way they can be informed and that the audience can be informed. But go back and check it out. I asked Maru to read the Mejunetra on it and he couldn't read it. You know what I'm saying?
I did see that. I was watching it, you know, because, you know, me and the Dagger Squad, we've had our different back and forths as well, you know, and I was watching it and remember, I think we had a small discussion about it, about, you know, how it seems that when they get into some type of corner that they end up throwing out all these red herrings and stuff and try to jump and attack because they can't figure out a way out of it because, like you said, they're not, they don't know a lot of that information. You know, they know, you know, enough to kind of scare off someone who doesn't study in depth like that. But when you study in depth, then you can come back and retort. Like, I believe y'all talked a little bit about Israel Finkelstein on that one as well. Did you?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
No.
That might have been a different one.
Yeah, it might have been a different one.
Yeah,
I know me and Garfield talked about a lot of things, and they remember me and you, James, was talking about it. They said they had a website they can get any book in the world, and this is what Rob Bourne and this is what Maru. This is where they go to get like when they was talking to you, they went grab the book from this site. In the book, and they open it up, and this is where they was challenge you on that, because they went and just grabbed the book immediately. So they have access to something that I think that they should be fair and share it with everybody else, so that way there could be a level playing field. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, it seems like, you know, you're trying to hold an ace up your sleeve to use on people who are unsuspecting. You know, but you know, because I'm used to debating and stuff like that. I mean, you know, I do this all the time, so it doesn't faze me. It's just unfortunate where people who I expect to be, knowledgeable on certain subject matter are really don't know what they're talking about, and it's very difficult to get it across to them. So I'd rather do a video just so people can see about the Midianites. When he says that the Midianites were all genocide, and I'm like, what? So if the Midianites were all genocide in Torah, right, in the first 5 books, then who was oppressing the people during Gideon's time? Who did Gideon rise up against? Where did they come from, right? And and matter of fact, like I mentioned on there, Moses is a brother-in-law. People don't even bring him into the situation, because Moses' brother-in-law was a Midianite, and he had a group of people with him. And Moses said, "Yo, I need you to come with me." Come. So, you know, I mean, so it goes to show they don't know. Then I was talking about pottery. If you watched it, I went into pottery. He didn't even want to deal with that. And I said, "Yo, what's the general?" He said, "Oh, we're not dealing with the expert." I'm like, what? This is Dagger Squad, and y'all not dealing with the experts.
You know, they very subjective in their studies. That's one thing that I realized. Like, if anything goes against what they put forth, they completely reject it, whether it's a scholar or not. I've noticed that they will even drop scholars that they were speaking highly of when you bring something from that scholar that goes against what they put forth.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one of my biggest problems with not everyone in that community, but some of the people in the community that's put at the forefront because of the fact that they will just jump around from scholar to scholar as long as it suits their needs.
Exactly. So thank you for that. And I know you've been on that channel a lot. That was my first time really on Dagger Squad, because Garfield wanted to get me on there for a while. But if you watch it, me and Garfield was building. My thing is, I want to get Garfield sources. I always check him on that. Give up your sources, bro. Because, you know, when I do my lectures, I give all my sources. I don't hide anything. Give up your sources so that way we can cross-examine it. You know what I'm saying? But we had a great build, and a lot of information came out until the end. And the end was just like, what's going on? Why are we debating now? This is not the spirit that we came in. But that's neither here nor there. But I'm going to do a video on that in case people use that argument against our community. You know how to defend against the Midianites of genocide. You know, defend against the Shashu of Yahoo. You know, matter of fact, I don't know if I don't really want to. Matter of fact, I don't know if I want to show you all my information on that. I've done a lot of studies on the Temple of Soleb. It's a very excellent, you know, in the time of Amenhotep III during about 1350 BCE during his reign. And studying that, there was an Egyptologist by the name of Donald B. Redford who confirmed that the Medu Neter formulated with Yod Hey Wav. What we say in Hebrew, Yod Hey Wav, but is a actual cognate of Yahoo. An example of that would be this: if you read any like the Lachish letters, if you read any of the Telerad letters, if you read the Samaritan Astrakhan, if you read a lot of these things and you look at the theophoric names with Yah in it, it ends in Yahoo. Yahoo. That was a more antiquated rendering of Yod Hey Wav Hey. And you'll even hear brothers who use the Mater Selectiones vocally and their theophoric names. They'll also maintain the Yahoo as a suffix, right? So Yod Hey Wav was an antiquated way during the Iron Age 1, 2, and 2C period, right before the Babylonian siege, where they actually had Yod Hey Wav as the form of saying the Most High. And this is very, very important because it links us back to who these Shashu peoples were that was conquered in the Asia region, right? So they had Shashu or peoples from Nubia or Tasseti and people from the Levant area. You know what I'm saying? And one of these people either lived in an area with a toponym of Yahoo, the Ta, which means land, of the Shasu of Yahoo. And Yahoo is either the toponym for the land or the entity or deity that was associated with these people in that land, right? And then when we look at the various streams of information that start to coalesce and formulate together, we start to see who these people start to emerge as later on in extra biblical history, right? So again, I do research on anything that deals with pre-exilic ancient Israel. You know, anything during that time period with comparative cultures, right? Like the Ugaritic community, like the Assyrian community, the Babylonian community, the Canaanite community, and the ancient Kemetic community, and even the Sudanese or the Nubian community. During that period of time, which I would say from the 15th century all the way to the 6th century BCE, I do research in that region because my objective is to reconstruct the worldview of the people that lived at that time from my culture. So I'm familiar with a lot of the arguments, pro and con. I'm familiar with the artifacts, the archaeology, the anthropological record, the historical record, the comparative cultural records. I look at all of these things in order to better formulate what occurred. And when somebody tries to tell me that I'm wrong with something, then they don't have to really build a case to show me how I'm wrong from using a source. Because I strive to not only research it independently, I go verify this with various other professors and PhDs that's in the field doing this work. So I do my field work as well with them until I'm actually in the field doing that work. You know what I'm saying? And I have a good rapport with a lot of these professors because they're enamored by the fact that I don't have to do, but the type of stuff that I discuss with them, their students don't even bring up, you know, and it creates a more fresh discussion for them. And I said because you have a curriculum that you tie your students into. So it's very difficult for them to have a discussion with you outside the box when they have to fulfill what's in that curriculum in order to pass your class. Me, on the other hand, I'm not your student, but I'm willing to learn from you. But because I'm not your student, I'm not in a box curriculum that I have to follow the things that you teach, and I can bring something from a different angle to see how you respond to it. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I deal with people from the Oriental Institute, St. John University, Washington University, two more universities. I forget. I haven't spoken to those professors in a while. But I try to, any conclusion that I come through using my methodology, I like to sometimes, not all the time, sometimes run it by them to see how they respond to it. You know what I'm saying? And if y'all haven't been to the Oriental Institute in Chicago, I suggest y'all to go and take a trip there. But let me tell you something about Jabari real quick. Jabari had the nerve to tell me that we can't trust anything from the Oriental Institute because it was funded by the Rockefellers. I'm like, what? I'm saying, bro, I'm not there to subscribe to their conclusion or their interpretation. I'm there to retrieve the data that they have so I can make my own conclusion, because they have access to stuff that we will never see in our community. And the only way we can get it is to enter into those circles and bring it back. That's why I went to the American Research Center in Egypt conference last year, so I can get information from Egyptologists around the world and bring it back to our community for examination. And that's what I did. And that's what I do when I go to various lectures. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's biblical archaeology or whether it's Egyptologists, you know what I'm saying? Or people that deal with Near Eastern studies. You know, I even met Christopher Rawson and I spoke to him in regards to language, you know what I'm saying? And I have his contact information if I ever want to call him or contact him and have a discussion. So I do my work in the field. I know how to verify what is a legit source. You can go back to the Minority Report or Crows and the Strawman, and you can see my source. All my sources check out. All my sources check out. So when somebody tells me that something is fake from the Temple of Soleb, I'm just like, what? And then I say to them, well, give me a consensus on that. They said we don't have to do that. I can look at it for myself and tell you what it is. And I'm like, that's how we do research now? That's how we research? But if I was to say something like that, I won't get it passed because I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Come on, man. But anyway, enough of that rant. Let me see what they're saying in the chat. And let's see. It's 4:17. Damn, it's mad early in the morning. Y'all still awake. It's almost 100 people in here. What y'all doing up, man? Mid Valley Payback says, I'm gonna pull a Garfield. I don't give my sources. Yo, that's what you gotta. You gotta lock Garfield on giving up his sources, man. He has a lot of sources with information that is fringe. Not that it's fake or false, but it's fringe and it's not the orthodox consensus. Some things he does lean on the orthodox consensus, but a lot of those hidden things he throw out there, it's not the orthodox consensus. And you got to give him to give up his resources so you can scrutinize it, peer review it, and be able to see the pros and cons against those arguments. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So let's see. Somebody said I'm not gonna give you my source. Third person managing a pronominal suffix wav. Yes, that's correct. You sure it is Yahoo and wasn't Ahaya? Yeah, I'm sure it was. I should do a lesson on that at looking at the Lachish Astrakhan and just Astrakhan letters, Telerad letters from the pre-exilic period, and show you theophoric names in there and show you how to decipher those theophoric names. Because remember, once you learn classical biblical Hebrew, you can then start to work your way to Paleo Hebrew, Dead Sea Scrolls that don't have the diacritic marks, because you start to learn syntax and morphology. And that carries over even into looking at the way the orthography is done in Paleo Hebrew, or the square script without the diacritic marks. And it's a study that I'm still growing in. I know enough to teach and to have dialogue, but I'm still growing in that area. But whatever I do get, I formulate it and give it back to the community. And it's hard for me to master a lot of things because there's so many things that I engage in. It's not like I don't have like one specific subject matter that I master. And there's so many things that I look into and I study and I try to get a good grasp in and try to accelerate my knowledge in, you know, because believe it or not, I would say 65%, no, I would say 70% of what you guys see came from only a little over 3 years worth of study. I did not come in conscious community until 2014. I did not officially become Israelite until 2014. So everything you see that I give to you guys is a culmination of my studies from 2014 until today. So it's a little over 3 years. Now, prior to that, I was conscious about certain things, but I wasn't Black conscious. I wasn't an Israelite. So a lot of things that I teach in those regards, you know, like when I say conscious, I was like, just Christian. I turned into that in 2009 until maybe 2012. When I stopped 2012, a female friend of mine put me on to the conscious community. I knew about the Israelites, but I never really looked into the doctrine. But me on to the Black Power community, RBD community, Kemetic community. She really put me on to that. I've heard these things in passing, but never studied it. But because she put me on to that, you know, I wanted to challenge the information she gave me, and she brought me on that path to studying that back in 2012. And in 2014, I reached a pinnacle or a zenith where I said, okay, you know what? Let me, you know, just push aside what I knew and actually absorb myself into these studies. So everything, mostly everything you see me teach is from a little over three years and some change of being in this form of consciousness. So I give honor to the Most High Yah and the Ruach HaKodesh, and I also give thanks to everybody who along that path, whether I met them in person, whether I saw them on YouTube, that actually assisted in getting me to where I'm at today. You know, so I'm not prideful or too egotistical to say, well, I'm a master teacher in this area. Some people think I'm a master teacher, but I never go around telling them I'm a master teacher or a super expert in anything. I don't do anything like that because I know I still have more years to put in order to really get to that level. But where I'm at now, it's remarkable, you know, and I had to give thanks to a divine force that was responsible for putting me on this path. You know, that a lot of other associates of mine and family members of mine are just not on. You feel what I'm saying? And I also want to thank all y'all who contribute to my growth, because brothers share things with me a lot, man. And a lot of times I'll be wanting to give them credit and say, no, don't mention my name. It's okay. I'm like, all right, you know, no problem. And I thank them for it. And I give a subtle shout out to them for it because they've helped me in my studies. And I'm not that egotistical to not to give credit where it's due. But the majority of my studies, I would say maybe 20% of it is 25% is from other people that's contributed and helped me. 60% of it is my own independent studies. The other 15% of things that I either saw on YouTube or read elsewhere, and the rest of it is things that I formulate myself. And I say, okay, how can I reconstruct a different angle of approach and perspective on this subject matter? And I one thing I've learned from college, even though I didn't graduate, is methodology. If you know methodology or research methodology, I'm telling you, man, you will be a force to be reckoned with. And that is what helped me in my studies and in my presentations, is research methodology. I have a book on it. Matter of fact, I showed the book. If you go to Minority Report Part 1, I actually showed a book on research methodology. So for those of y'all who are upcoming scholars who really want to be studied in this realm of research, study research methodology, learn it, understand what analysis is, understand what a hypothesis is versus a thesis or a theory or a conclusion, learn what deductive reasoning is. Look into these terms, learn them, and you will be equally as equipped as a lot of the scholars who put in a lot of work. Now, you're not going to have the experience that they have or the orthodox schooling, but your methodology will bring you closer and closer and closer to that level. And if they are humble enough, they will bring you up to where they're at instead of talking down on you and forever wanting to be your teacher, you know, and wanting to only have the pole and fish for you when you're hungry, instead of saying, here, let me show you how to make your own pole so you can fish for yourself and feed yourself for a lifetime. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's what it is. Yeah, you're welcome, Series B, no problem. Thank you, Yasha Ben Yisrael. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mid Valley Payback, for calling me a master teacher. Like I said, I have a long way to go. With that comes obligation and, you know, a lot of things that I still have to work on before I get to that level. But, you know, like I said, it's not bad for 3.5 years, man, you know, of being entrenched in this conscious community, Kemetic community, and Israelite community, you know. It's not bad for 3.5 years. And like I said, research methodology got me as far as I went, as well as the Most High waking me up and putting me on this path. The ancestors who fought in order for me to have an opportunity to learn things the way, get access to things that I have today. And also for everybody that's been around me, that's supported me, and that's shared things with me. That's why I said my success is a vicarious success. So when I make it into those realms, which is soon to come, I'm going to bring everybody with me, and they can pave their own path to the same places that I'm getting access to, because I'm not afraid to give it up, you know, in order for the benefit of the entire community. And like I was saying earlier, character integrity, diplomacy intact will get you very far. If you couple that with research methodology and understand power and modesty, you know, you can do great things, you know, even when nobody else believes in you. You feel what I'm saying? So a lot of autodidacts do not study methodology. I agree. Look at Menez Meech. He said, Nappy Shabbat fam. See that? That's a Kemetic brother right there, man. Shout out to my brother, man. Yes, Nisi's Pieces, 3.5 years. Now, just to give you a summary of my journey, I was awoken by making a carnal prayer, because I was agnostic. And I made a carnal prayer to whatever power was in the sky, because when I was young, I was raised apostolic, holiness, Pentecostal, raised in that, but it was part of me, because I only did it because I was living in my parents' household, whatever case may be. But when I got on my own, I just said, yo, I'm not dealing with that. You know what I mean? But, you know, I still felt an obligation to some kind of higher power. I didn't understand too much about it. I knew some things vaguely in the Bible, but I couldn't really quote things for you and stuff like that. It's interesting. Oh, somebody's. Who's that? Okay. Okay. Oh, give a shout out to the people. DJ Black. Give a shout out, DJ Black.
Shalom, family. Shalom, peace, run, divine prospect, my boy. Yeah, he on my main Facebook page. On my family Facebook page, you got to be like a real family to be on that. But this is what I wanted to the next time when you get a chance to be in a sit down with one of those guys, my question to you is, do you know like a lot of the principles in the Bible, and to compare those principles as far as like some Proverbs? I was reading some before you when I got online, like Proverbs 4 and 7. It says wisdom is a principal thing. Therefore, wisdom and all that get understanding. You know that scripture, right? So, like a lot of times when you talk to a lot of those guys, they don't deal with principles. They just want to attack it as if it's just all bad. So, my thing is with you is like, will you bring up the subject of principles, like the reason why we so in tune with the Bible, or how we keep our faith, and why we keep our faith in the Bible is because of those principles, and you just can't remember all of them daily. It's a daily war. That's why we have to keep our faith in them. But that was part of it. And then the other part is when they try to answer certain questions specifically, you know, because it's a fresh topic. Jabari, he's a fresh punching bag right now, and he is attempting to answer those those pictures, and I don't know if you remember, like in 2012, 2013, Michael Ellis was putting up all those pictures and talk with the Titans on Facebook. And I was like, bro, those pictures ain't real pictures. Those are fake pictures. But everybody they keep on trying to defend them and come up with a reason why those pictures. I'm like, those not the real pictures. Those people didn't draw those pictures like that, all freaked out like that. But these people are attempting to answer why these pictures are freaked out like that. And I'm like, those aren't real pictures. But I don't know if you pointed that out to them, and if you, the next time you speak with them, like that's just the only two things, bro.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll definitely keep that in mind. And if there's anything y'all want me to ask anybody, like there's a Unity conference that's coming out August 13th in New York City, and I'll be there. You feel what I'm saying? And this is where all of these people is gonna be. And if there's anything specifically y'all want me to ask anybody there, if you go to Sonetta's channel or go to his Frank Gehry Facebook page and see the flyer for that, you'll see everybody that's going to be there. If you have a question that you cannot get to one of those people and you want it to be asked, email me. I'm gonna put my email in the chat again. Email me the question and tell me who you want me to give it to. I'll ask their question. All right, I'll do it for y'all. I'll do that for you. Let me put it in here. It's the least I could do for y'all. So I'll go ahead and ask that question for y'all, so that way your voice is here and I can just be the conduit for it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'll have that discussion with them in regards to the principle. We'll talk about that. Email me. I put my email in the group. Everybody who's in this chat, write this email down. Shoot me emails. You know what I mean? Even reminders. You feel what I'm saying? And I'll do my best to get back to you. But if you have any questions for that conference, let me know. Whoever it may be that you see on that roster, and I'll ask them for you. You know what I mean? So, I for 30, man, y'all, it's almost like 70 something people in here. Y'all's not, I don't know why y'all not asleep, but it's all good. It's all good. But I'm gonna stay on here for another 15 minutes. I'm just trying to find something to share with y'all. I'm gonna look at the chat, and is there anything y'all want me to address? If not, I'll bring something out, and I can show y'all. But if there's something you want me to address, let me know. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you something while y'all in the chat ask a question. So for those of y'all that know, I have a program called Jubilee Manumission, and that program is designed to alleviate people of third-party non-federal debt and also help them to improve their credit score in doing so. And I like to always show people evidence of the system working before I promote business. So I'm going to show y'all that. I'm going to show y'all evidence of that real quick. And I'm going to post something random. I mean, I got a lot of information, man, that I wish I can just give to everybody, but a lot of it requires interpretation from knowing a piece of information. So when I show it, I like to show it and be able to actually comment on it or commentate on it, so that way people can understand why I'm showing it to you and why I'm connecting with different things. But I'm gonna show you this real quick, and so y'all can see. If anybody's interested, if you have any kind of third-party non-federal debt, bill collectors are harassing you, you want to get rid of them, holler at me. And if that has affected your credit score and you need to boost it, let me know. I'll assist you with that as well. For those of y'all in the chat, email me that you were in the chat, and you'll get a free consultation, and I'll let you know whether or not I can assist you or if I have to bring you elsewhere or whatnot. But these are just things that I develop my cultural worldview to solve societal ills. And the other thing is dealing with health. So I deal with debt and deal with health. And then I do Kingdom Harvard Ministries, which is more educational, more activism, more cultural things and stuff like that. But I'm gonna show this to y'all. Let me pull this up, and then I'm gonna pull some information up while we're on the line. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so if y'all looking at my screen, you see here the first one is debt collector notice number 12304 Baltimore Avenue, Beltsville, Maryland, blah 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 blah. Right now, the reason why this debt came up was there was a situation where I had moved out of an apartment and they made up some bogus charges, right? Because they didn't want to give me back my security, which a lot anyway, because my credit was good. But they tried to hit me for some charges for $275. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And mind you, I never heard back from the office. They just sent it straight to a bill collector, right? Which they wasn't supposed to do. And that's fine. So then I get a letter from the bill collector, and let me see this. It says, Amley, the place, it says, has requested the assistance of Fair Collections and Outsourcing in sending the statement. If you had a security deposit that has been applied, 505, please direct questions to Fair Collections and Outsourcing. Our professional debt collections are here to help you resolve this matter. That's a damn lie, but whatever. And it told you where to send a payment, right? Then here's the second letter they sent me, follow-up letter they sent me, and it says, Dear Ron, we are providing a second notice anticipating. How are you anticipating something and I didn't give you feedback yet? But okay. Your willingness to resolve this account while at this stage of the collection process. Your account has already been reported. What? Or is scheduled to be reported for all of the following national credit reporting bureaus: Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. Checked by blah, blah. What they asked me for was I sent them a letter in response to this, and I did what's called conditional acceptance. And this is the letter they sent back to Ron. The above count has been canceled in our office. Our office did not report this item to any. You just said reported or is scheduled to be reported. That's a tactic. This communication from a debt collector is an attempt to collect the debt. Any information obtained will be used for that purpose. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact this office at the numbers listed below. So I sent them a letter in return, and this is their response after that letter. Then I took that, sent it to the Federal Trade Commission, sent it to the Federal Trade Commission, county clerk, and two other places. They escape me right now. Wow, that's crazy. Credit Protection Bureau, and the fourth one. I don't know how I forgot this. I know this stuff. But anyway, I sent it to those people to put it on record, and then from there, I wrote a letter up, sent it to the credit reporting bureaus, so that way they have it on file to ensure that if this creditor or this debt ever comes up, they can reject it, refuse it, and it won't show up on my credit report, and it never showed up. So the debt was eliminated, it was gone. This is what I do for my clients on a regular basis. You know, clients who are interested in my services, this is the type of letters that they get back. And then we do response letters, put everything on file and on record. County clerk puts it on record, public notice, and then you give it to these other agencies, so that way they have it on record as well. And you can, and then you send your letter out to the three credit reporting bureaus, and that will assist you. Then you can do things as being like an authorized user on somebody else's credit card account, so that way you can raise your credit score, get in a secure credit card, and doing a lot of other things you can do to enhance your credit while taking off these negative reports that's on your credit score or your credit report. All right, so this is something that I do. If y'all interested in it, email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. And you know, those who want to chat tonight, you can get a free consultation. I'll schedule one for you. I'm a little backed up, so it may take maybe a week or two for me to get to you, but I'll get to you. And if you're interested in the service, I'll do a free consultation, gauge whether I can assist. And if I can, I'll give you a discounted price on it and get rid of your debt. You know, I got rid of school loans, got rid of mortgage notes that got sent into collections, car notes that got sent into collections, repossession notice that got sent to collections, credit card sent to collections. And my objective is not just to get rid of it, but once you have a clean slate, teach you how to manage your finances going forward, so that way you don't have these issues again, and teach you about hard assets and how to securitize hard assets, so that way you have something to sustain you when all else fails, right? And when society goes to hell, which is coming soon, you have hard assets to fall back on that you can use for your day-to-day bills until things are stabilized in this economy. All right. And I talk about some of this in my video. It's called economic subversion to autonomous conversion. If you go back and watch that video, I touch on some of the things that I just said to you. But this is just to show you guys, and I have a lot of letters like this of the success of this program. And if you guys need help, I'm here to help you. And again, this stemmed from my cultural awareness of the Jubilee. That's why I have the word Jubilee, which is the Hebrew root word Yobel. But Jubilee is a concept that I get from my cultural paradigm, that I created a practical solution for fixing societal ills. And many slave owner releases a slave via paperwork. And I'm saying, and that's what happened. We deal with them via paperwork so they can release you of this debt, and then you can enjoy your Jubilee. That's the concept behind this program. And anybody who's looking for supplemental work that you want to assist with this program, also email me, and I could put you on, and you'll get paid just for referrals. You know, it's a little side thing, can make a little bit of money. Program, nothing like that. All you're doing is referring people to me, and if they get processed, you get a fee. That's it. You know, you can do it as much as you want, as little as you want. It's up to you. You know, you don't. It's not based on recruiting people and every. It's that we don't do that. It's just a referral program. You get paid for referrals. That's it. You know, it's very simple. You get up to 25, 30% of whatever the transaction is that I have with that person for assisting them, and that goes right into your pocket. I send you, shoot it to you right in your PayPal, and you get paid. You know what I'm saying. So I just wanted to show that to you all for those who are interested in what else that, you know, us here at Kingdom Harvard Ministries offers. And it's one of the programs that we offer. So if you need the service or you want to assist with the service to make some money, let me know. All right. So, you know, my other videos, I went into health. I showed y'all a novelty solution to get rid of cancer. And I used that method on, I didn't use it. Well, it was part of a regimen that I recommended to somebody that had breast cancer, prostate cancer, and what was the other cancer they had? I forgot where the tumor was found at. I think it was liver or kidney. And we got rid of their cancer was gone. They was in stage 3, and then now the cancer is non-existent. So on top of that, we teach them, you know, diet, exercise, and supplements, you know, and teach them these 3 things, put them on a regimen, and we just get rid of their cancer. Cancer is gone. You know what I'm saying? Atopic dermatitis, gone. The only thing is atopic dermatitis is very difficult to address when you're dealing with infants. When they become toddlers, it's easier. But when they're infants, it's very difficult because the immune system is still premature. And I'm a fan of breastfeeding. So the babies don't really get a lot of supplements through breastfeeding. They get all the essentials, but they don't really get any supplements. So, you know, and the babies can only do about some limited exercise, even though you could do some things with them. But when they become a toddler, then it's much easier to address things like asthma, allergies, or allergic rhinitis, and eczema. And these 3 things are allergic rhinitis, asthma, and eczema are interrelated. The filaggrin issue that you encounter with atopic dermatitis is also encountered with asthma. And this also affects your nasal cavity as well. And again, if you go back and watch that video, I showed you this chart back here where I was showing you basically what allergies is and how to combat allergies. And when I do my lecture, I'm going to touch on some of that, the one on eczema, I'm going to touch on some of that. And again, natural path to Eden. Again, all these are principles for my cultural paradigm to resolve social ills. So what good is it me teaching you all this deep stuff, but I can't give you practical solutions to solve day-to-day problems? Feel what I'm saying? So anyway, let me see what else I want to show you tonight before I wrap this up. Let me see if y'all got anything y'all want to sing in there. Yes, Aveeno is good, but there's some additives in there. Aveeno is probably the best over-the-counter solution as a temporary solution, because what it does is that it has ceramides in it, and it also has colloidal oatmeal. And what they do is that the ceramides is responsible for locking in moisture, because you have what's called transepidermal water loss, TEWL. And what happens is the corneocytes, which is the last layer that before it flakes off, the dead skins flake off. The corneocytes are coated by lamellar bodies, which is responsible for adding cholesterol, some amino acids, or you have what's called NMFs, which is natural moisturizing factors that filaggrin becomes once it goes through a transepidermal process of coming from the stratum granulosum all the way up to the stratum corneum. And it's responsible for providing what's called natural moisturizing factors, but filaggrin takes a hit. Either you have loss of function or no functions or weak functionality of it, and this causes a cascade of a lot of other issues to occur on the skin. But what the Aveeno does is that the skin, due to the issue with filaggrin, the lack of ceramides, cholesterols, that's designed to coat and lock water in and prevent elements from coming out, the AMPs, which is antimicrobial peptides, which is also at the corneocyte level and other layers of the skin. All of these things are diminished and not functioning well, and it leaves gaps in the skin that allows allergens to come in. So when an antigen presents an allergic response, it becomes an allergen. And these allergens come in, they could either be dust mites, they could either be staph aureus, it could be ragweed, pollen, dander, any of these things. When they come in and the body abnormally responds to it extracellularly instead of intracellularly, and it produces IgE and cause you to have type 1 hypersensitivity. All of these things can cause issues. But what the Aveeno does is that it closes the gap, and it also seals the corneocyte, so that way water is not lost and you don't have xerosis or the drying of the skin, pruritus, and all that other fun stuff. Well, it's not fun, it's really dangerous stuff because it could cause further issues and prevent you from getting staph infections. I got cellulitis one time so bad in my arm due to my eczema that they was going to amputate my arm. You believe that? They said, if this thing don't stop, we're going to have to cut off your arm. My right arm. Man, that was scary, man. But, you know, being that it was a staph infection, or that the cellulitis was the root from, gave me antibiotics, which if it's not natural, I'm not a fan anymore. I'm only a fan of natural antibiotics, unless it's an emergency situation. You get antibiotics, but the antibiotics help stay the infection. But the problem with antibiotics is that it kills probiotic, any beneficial bacteria that's in your stomach or on the surface of your skin. You have what's called skin flora, right? Or microflora, microbiotic, that's on your skin. And even women, you have vaginal flora, right? And antibiotics kills all these beneficial bacteria and causes additional problems going forward. And a lot of these beneficial bacteria help keep away harmful or adverse bacteria, right? Yeast infections is due to an imbalance in the vaginal flora, right? That's why you got to take certain probiotics that assist with balancing yeast. Yeast is naturally there in the vagina area, but its ratio is low, and you have more beneficial bacteria. What happens is the beneficial bacteria overtakes the area. You get BV, right? But if it's not enough bacteria, then you'll get infections, right? A lot of things that could cause this, but it's mostly in the diet, lack of supplements, lack of care, of general hygiene, but this is other stuff. Yeah, somebody says that they're looking for the eczema lecture. Yes, I'm gonna get into that, and it's very thorough. To those of y'all who've seen the preview in my video, the late night scholarship vlog #1, go back and check that out. I think it's like a 5 marker or whatever. I start talking about eczema and stuff like that. But the first one is on eczema. The next one is going to be on asthma. The last one is going to be allergic rhinitis and allergies. And then from there, I'm going to taper off into cancer, HIV, hepatitis, any kind of disease you can think of. And I'm going to show you guys what is the cause of it and how to resolve it. And again, natural path to Eden, bringing us back to the Edenic state of wholeness and health. So all of the solutions that I give is centered from my cultural paradigm. So this is what I charge leaders who are so intellectually deep. I'm like, so if I have this problem, can you help me? If I have that problem, can you help me? And then all they do is refer you back to the Bible. Or they give you some kind of deep Kemetic teaching. No, that's not what I need. That sounds good, but I got a real life, real world situation here. I need help. If that stuff can't fix it, then I don't want it. You could keep that. You feel what I'm saying? Yes, but asthma can also be reversed. You don't have to live with asthma. You don't have to live with eczema. You don't have to live with allergies, right? Because allergies can be controlled. The reason why you can't cure yourself of allergies is because you have IgE antibodies. Whenever you have an allergic reaction, and I go into the causes of it in that lecture that I'm going to give, you have these antibodies forever in your body because you have memory T cells and memory B cells that hold this data. And the B cells are responsible for releasing these antibodies that cross-link with antigens and causes this cascade of reactions via chemokines, cytokines, etc. And then you have histamine buildup, which is responsible for inflammation and vascular dilation in order to widen the capillaries, in order to allow these white blood cells to come in and more blood flow to come to the area of injury, etc. So again, this is stuff that I taught myself, but I was inspired by my cultural paradigm because I was sick and tired of suffering, and the doctors were just making money off of me, and I wanted to really heal myself. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I avoid the word cure, heal myself. And I said, you know what? Let me also offer this service to other people. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is very important, family. An aerobic system is very important, but the problem with an aerobic system, intake of oxygen is good, but the problem is free radicals. Whenever you have an O2 come into the body synthesizes it, takes the oxygen, uses it for ATP in the mitochondria and the cell. But what happens is you get a free radical oxygen molecule that's just running around rampant and causing damage or oxidative damage. So the body has natural antioxidants, but you have to give the body more supplements of antioxidants, which you can get from like berries, like very black, dark berries and grapes and so forth, acerola cherries and stuff like that, maca berries. Get your antioxidants so that way it can bind to this free radical oxygen molecule and diffuse it. Otherwise, you may think you're taking a lot of oxygen, but you can also be causing additional stress on the body. So you have to balance the amount of oxygen you take in with antioxidants. You cannot get a lot of exercise or do oxygen exercises and take all this oxygen in and think that you're going to heal your body when you may address some issues but create a little more long-term issues by having these free radicals going rampant all throughout your body. So it needs to be countered, and that's very important. Black seed oil is the truth. It's also good for hand eczema, controlling hand eczema as well. And that's something that I suffered from, and occasionally I still have flare-ups, and I'm still trying to find a solution for that. Now, regular eczema, done. Hand eczema, dyshidrosis is a whole nother beast altogether. I've learned to control it, but I have not yet resolved it, but I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? And once I discover it, I'm going to give the solution to you guys as well. All right. But, this, like I said, this is health. I've been studying health since 2012, taking it seriously. I was learning about supplements back in 2009, but I got really serious into health in 2012. And in 2014, when I came into real consciousness, I really started to study it at an academic level. So that way, anything that I recommend, anything that I speak on is heavily sourced. And as I said in the preview, those who watch it, it was heavily sourced that I base my conclusions off of. I strive and I take pride in being well sourced from credible sources, because I'm not going to give you a solution if I cannot validate it in vitro and in vivo. That was done by double-blinded placebo case studies, which is very important in order to verify that something can work without it being compromised in the lab or even in vivo in the field. All right. All right. So yes, Menace Meach, you're right. Oxygen is a gift and a curse. It kills you while keeping you alive. That is absolutely correct. That's why we have to find our way to balance it, so that way it doesn't do more adverse damage than what it could possibly do if we ignore it. Okay. Also, people that say that you have to have a fully alkaline body, that's insane. Your blood is alkaline, but your skin is acidic. Did you know that if your skin is alkaline, you enhance what's called serine proteases? And what happens is you diminish the AMPs, which is the antimicrobial that's on the surface, and you allow more Staphylococcus aureus colonization, as well as other undesirable tenants of the yeast or bacteria. And they're also causing a breakdown in the corneocyte level and to diminish the amount of ceramide, because the serine protein starts to synthesize the size of the cholesterol that's on the corneocytes and prevent the lamellar bodies from actually doing its job. And then what it also does, that it helps the filaggrin, which is designed to collapse the keratinocytes together to form a structural filament to prevent anything from coming into the stratum corneum as it moves up epidermally to the surface. So that way it can become a natural moisturizing factor. So if your skin is alkaline all the time, you are actually doing damage, and you can actually cause yourself to get eczema or atopic dermatitis if your skin is always alkaline. My recommendation, get lotions and get body washes that are pH balanced, right? That's very important, right? You get body washes, lotions that are pH balanced, because it will restore the natural skin pH of 4.7 to 5.5. That's the ideal range. Also, your stomach, gastric juices, very acidic, right? A lot of other places of your body is typically alkaline, but those are the two major places that is heavily acidic. Other places as well, the colon, other areas is very acidic. If you had a fully alkaline body, you would die. You cannot live with a fully alkaline body. So don't let nobody tell you that you have to have a fully alkaline body. Your diet should not be fully alkaline. Your diet should be at least 75, 80% alkaline with 20, 25% acidic foods. You need that to live in order to be healthy. So that's something else that I'm gonna get into. And this is very important because a lot of people, you know, they teach a lot of pseudo health, and they don't really have any kind of, because, you know, when these people don't have a lab, and they're not referring to actually lab results, they're giving you their opinion that's not really backed by practical science. Maybe theoretical science, but not practical science. That's why everything that I say to you, I show you scientific articles and reports. I show you all the medical reports, scientific articles, for everything that I'm telling you for naturopathic alternatives. Do you know they do science on naturopathic alternatives? But guess what? It is promoted because the pharmaceutical companies cannot patent it. They can't patent something that's natural unless it's hybrid, unless it's GMO. Now we can patent it. But if it's natural and they see the things that happen in nature with elements of nature, they can't patent it, so they're not going to promote it. Why would they promote that to you when they can make $1 billion by lying to you and giving you a pill that all of that it adversely affects the metabolic processes in the body? That's all medicine does. You have metabolic processes that are occurring 1,000,000 times, you know, all the time. And whenever there's a problem that happens, it's a break in one of these metabolic processes that then affects another metabolic process, that then affects another metabolic process. And all they do is they adversely affect these metabolic processes so it can give you the appearance of relief from a symptom, but it's actually damaging your body. You should not have interruption of issues with metabolic processes in your body. And if there's something wrong with it, you have to figure out what metabolic process is not operating efficiently and how do I resolve that. But I'm going to give this to you on my lecture. All right. So Yasha ben Yisrael, it was good. Shalomat. Hyssop oil, yes, that is a blood purge. If you want to purge your blood, hyssop is an excellent blood purge. And we get this also from the scriptures. Scriptures actually mention hyssop as well. And it's a good blood purger. All right. Yes, that's right. Kokab Tafari as far as coconut water. And all you got to do is get you some test strips, pH test strips. And anytime you want to see if something's acidic or alkaline, dip it right in the test strip and it'll tell you immediately what's going on. But when I get to the health lecture, I'm going to give you guys all of this stuff, all of this information that I put time in, sleepless nights, separation from family, just so I can give it to you guys, right? So I can help you guys out. So that lecture is going to really be really powerful. It's 110 slides or something like that. So it's going to be pretty in-depth. It's probably going to be like a 3-hour lecture. But you'll never have a question about atopic dermatitis again or any other ailment after I'm done. You're going to have everything you need to understand that you can even bring to a dermatologist and question them on certain things, right? Their methodology or their approach to helping you from ailment, why it's inefficient based on what I'm going to share with you guys. All right. Who am I? I'm just a regular person, you know, that wants to heal the community, you know what I'm saying? But anyway. So with that being said, family, let me show you guys one more thing, and then I'm done tonight. I thank you guys for staying up late and joining in. Let me see what can I bring out from my treasure box. Let me get this. Does anybody have a question? If anybody has a question in the chat, let me know. Peace, Rich Roots. Shout out to you. Did I miss anybody? We gotta give everybody a shout out. Truth and Justice. Global Purpose. Shout out to Global Purpose. Make sure I give everybody a shout out. This is not just my platform. This is all our platform. Yeah, I think I got it. All right. Mars BR. Shout out to Mars BR. Hebrew Nation building in the bin. They're gonna be at HGA tomorrow at 4419 Elmdale Drive, Tucker, Georgia. Make sure you're in building tomorrow. They're gonna be putting it down on the Willie Lynch syndrome. Wow, it's gonna be fire. Make sure you're in building. Support Hebrew Nation building. Go and subscribe to that channel as well. Let me see. No problem with Global Purpose. What is your opinion of Jews amongst the got a lecture coming on that, James? Can't really reveal that because I've been in talks with some Igbo professors over there, and they're giving me a lot of good information that I'm gonna put together for you guys. But remember, I'm also a tentative member of ISSAJ, the International Society for the Study of African Jews, and I get access to a lot of information that I will soon compile and put in a lecture. So I don't want to give the goods out too much now, but y'all wait and see. Y'all wait and see. Is the Book of Jubilees canonical? No, it's supplementary. We go to the Dead Sea Scrolls where we find the Book of Jubilees, and it was littered all throughout all the caves. We found most of the caves. We found the Book of Jubilees. It was a supplement.
I got one for you. I got one for you. Is Kemetic priesthood close and similar to that Catholic priesthood?
Okay, what's up? Good question. But wait, I'll get to that. Let me finish this Jubilee one. So the Book of Jubilees, we also find the Book of Jubilees in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it was not canonical by the groups of Quran. It was supplemental, right? So it was believed to have been Book of Enoch, which was also held in high regard at the Quran community, especially astronomical portions of Enoch 72 to 82, which they created calendrical texts from various sects. And various generations, various sects created calendrical texts from, because they actually adhered to the calendrical principle that's in the Book of Enoch. The Book of Jubilees had an emphasis on a Jubilee because they believed in a spiritual Jubilee. They believed that if we got back in alignment with the Jubilee, then everything else in nature, everything else in the world on a natural rotation. But they understood that the Jubilee would be lost over time, which happened because Israel kicked out the land, so it's hard for us to account for the Jubilees. So when they came back into the land, during the Hasmonean dynasty, where the Essenes came out of there, and then offshoots of the Essenes and other groups started popping up through the Quram caves, who decided to leave Orthodox society and dwell in the Quram caves, they decided to make a lot of their practices spiritual. And one of the things that they wanted to restore was the belief, because they believe in people being spiritually set free. They believed that Belial was a spiritual captor of the children of Israel and the people in their vicinity. So the Book of Jubilees was important, and they believed that they can restore the Jubilee, then they'll bring order back to the land. And that was important for them. So the Book of Jubilees was not considered canonical for them, but it was a very important book that had information in it that they modeled a lot of their rituals and stuff around. All right. So in regards to the Book of Jubilees, you know, me, I like the Book of Jubilees. It's not canonical for me, but there's a lot of good information in there. A lot of good information. Just like the Book of Enoch, it's not canonical to me, but it's a lot of good information in there. And it's because the Quran community teachings, right? Because they give insight to a lot of things. I subscribe to a lot of the extra biblically, not the actual manuscripts themselves, but the actual extra biblical manuscripts, which was better preserved than the canonical manuscripts anyway, which is interesting. But there was other artifacts they found in, like combs and tools and all types of other stuff. It was mikvah pools that they have there in that region, far from that region. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of interesting things there when you actually look into that. All right, so let me, the brother asked a question. He said, a lot in the Catholic priesthood that we find in the Kemetic priesthood. Well, when the Kemetic priesthood, I'm assuming you mean what we see people practice today. You know, in fact, man, you asked a good question. Let me show you a book. You know, I gotta give you a reference. Here's an excellent reference. Let me give you an excellent reference. Because remember, when you go back and research the Roman Catholic Church and their fight against Freemasonry and Freemasonry's fight against the Roman Catholic Church, eventually they merged, right? So a lot of Masonic practices found their way into Roman Catholicism, and a lot of Roman Catholicism is found in Masonry, right? Some people say the Jesuits infiltrated, some people say the Freemasons infiltrated the Catholic Church. I mean, there's a lot of theories on that, and I could teach a whole great lesson on that. But it influenced a lot of the rituals, because when you are a Mason in the Blue Lodge, everything is in the ritual, right? It contains understanding, right? On how to build a smooth ashlar. You know what I'm saying? You got to study the ritual and all the keys and the tokens that's in the ritual. So when we look at a lot of people who practice Kemetic culture, not just Kemetic culture, it's a lot of other reconstructions of ancient cultures that people do. They're giving a speculative version of the practices, you know, because we don't have none of these dead people alive to tell us what we're doing right or we're doing wrong. There's some evidence that's been left that we can utilize to be on the right path, but we can never know for certain. But I say that to say that was responsible for utilizing rituals that was found in Kemet by the priests, and they did it in Freemasonry. So if the Freemasons extracted from Egyptology to create a new element of build the rough ashlar, right, and make them into a smooth ashlar by taking principles and concepts from ancient Kemet. They also took it from Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and ancient Kemet. Those are the four main sources of Freemasons that stem out of there, like Aleister Crowley, Madame Blavatsky, people like that. Lucius Trush from Alice Bailey. And you see all of these people sort of formulate ideas centered around ancient Kemet. That mean that ancient Kemet was wicked, evil, and bad? No, not necessarily, but they took the spiritual elements of ancient Kemet or certain things that was real masonry and turned into speculative and operative masonry. So why am I saying this? What I'm saying to you is that if there's a long history of Freemasonry infiltrating the Roman Catholic Church, the Jesuits infiltrating and then the Freemasons utilizing the Kemetic culture as well as Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right? Using these elements and intertwining these elements, we're going to find similarities in a lot of the Catholic Church and what you find in the Kemetic culture. When people start saying, you know, like Jabari, oh, you know, when you look at the Pre-Heru, all those spells were ceremonies. How can you prove that? It's about eschatology when people die. And if you go back to the debate, I asked this question, never answered it. How can you say these were ceremonies? Where are you getting this from? You have to verify that. So what they do is that they try to take these, and this is what the Masons do. They Freemason, operative masonry. They look at concrete things and they turn into abstract principles to build the inner man. So reference to go back and research. And the reason why I'm giving it to you, so you can see how Masons extract precepts in ancient Kemet and spiritualize it, you know, as a way to build the inner man, and how we can see a lot of these similar functions that happen in the Roman Catholic Church. It's very intriguing study. But let me get the source for you guys so you guys have to see what I'm talking about. You can go back and research what I'm talking about. Let me go ahead and get it. Have it in this folder. It should be in books. Where's my books at? Text. No. Oh, here it is. Can't believe I missed that. All right. Where's this? Oh, oh man, I'm gonna give y'all some good stuff here. Hold on. Let me give y'all some good stuff. I need y'all to read the good stuff. The good stuff. Here's one. And actually, I met this lady as well. Okay, I met this lady. I'm gonna show you who this is. And let me give you another reference. Hold on. Let's get another reference. Good stuff. And where's the other reference? Where you at? Where you at? Hold on. Let me go back. Let me find it. I'm gonna find it. Hold on. Hold on. Find it. That's not, where is it at? That's not it. Damn, I was just looking at that the other day. That's another good book too. Book app, man. Dang. Hold on, family. I got y'all. Hold on. Oh shoot. Let me see. Date modify. Let's see if this will help. All right, hold on. I know where it's at. Hold on. I gotta get my other computer out. No, what's on here for sure. Okay. Let me see. All right, now I know I have it in here. I have so many books here. Where's this at? Oh, here it is. I found it. I think I was looking for the wrong. Is that here? Yeah. Nah, damn, I didn't put it in there. All right, well, let me get it over there so you guys can see it. Hold on. Just give me 1 second, family. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's drop this in there. Here it is. All right. I think I dropped it in the general. That's fine. All right. Let's get this. All right, here it is. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So screen, hit 1. If y'all can see my chat. Somebody from can just say they can see.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Initiatory process by Max, right? SP, and he's a Rosicrucian, right? But if you read this article, I mean not this article or whatever, part 1, the phase Sirion of initiation, specification, illumination, and he goes in and he is what is initiation. The distinction must be made between its procedure, that is its functional operation, and its purpose. This purpose condition of preparation consists of a series of tests to determine worthy to a higher religious or social status. This preparation is likewise a form of usually symbolic knowledge. So if you want this book, email me. Emails in the chat. I'll send it to you. And anything else I may have on the Kemetic community, not Kemetic communities, excuse me. Some people who carry out a Kemetic priesthood similar to priesthood. And this is one critique I have of Brother Jabari, because I mean I speak to Brother Reggie, put nobody out, but there's some things that they share with me that they disagree, that that they just say is not ancient Kemet. So he's reconstructing ceremonies and initiation rites and stuff like that. That's not really founded in the culture. He takes principles from the culture, ceremonies or rituals out of them. This is what Freemasons did. They looked at ancient Kemet, they saw certain things, and they created rituals. And this is what Roman Catholic. Oh, somebody's weak line. This is what the Roman did, the same thing. The Judaism, Christianity, whatever, and other Near Eastern religions, and even ancient Egypt, commemorated all of these things from so many different areas, and they formulated it and they integrated the system. So you'll see a lot of things they'll take that's like a concrete element in anthropology of antiquity, and they'll turn it into a ceremony. When you see people doing stuff like this, that there's really no evidence that way in antiquity, you know, there's a reasoning behind that. They're initiated somewhere into some rite, and what they're doing is rituals, initiates. This is what they're doing, you know. And if you go back to my I did in 2000, it's called "What the Ancient Commissions," and if you go back, watch it from beginning to end. And again, this wasn't like putting Kemet on trial per se, but I was addressing something from my perspective. But if you go to the end, I'll show you the revitalization of this interest in ancient Kemet, and how some Freemasons, because all Freemasons ain't bad, you know, some of them actually do a lot of good, but they're ones that actually take this thing very seriously and want to really control people, control things. Those individuals are actually followed to the age of Renaissance period in Europe, and Europe revitalized a lot of the Greeks in regards to philosophy, and a lot of the Greeks got their in Greeks of antiquity or classical Greek philosophers nation from ancient Kemet. What they did was they extract philosophy on a lot of rituals, and what happened was way of thinking went out due to the Roman Catholic for so many years. When the breakaway from the church occurred through Martin Luther, Calvin, and all the likes of them happened, and this speculative and operative Freemasonry system was formulated in Europe, which wasn't even indigenous to them, but they put their own twist in it. They revitalized a lot of these abstract principles, philosophies, and rituals that were done by these classical Greeks who stole it from the ancient Cometians. And again, like I said, when you do study and their battle and their acceptance first of the acceptance first of the damn, how I forget this. That's crazy. I must be really tired. I just said it earlier. But anyway, you'll start to see how these things sort of merge together. So Freemasonry drives Roman Catholicism. Roman Catholicism infiltrated Freemasonry. They infiltrated each other. And a lot of brothers and sisters in this pocket of history are falling victim into doing the same thing that the Catholic priest does, being driven by Freemasonic rites. And they start to mirror that in their own tradition that they believe is actually ancient, and it's not. It's very speculative. Remember speculative Masonry? Yeah. That's why they call it speculative. So when brothers start doing things that are speculative that you can't really verify, and they create ceremonies and initiation rites, stuff like that, there's a Masonic influence on that person. Whether a Mason or not, they have they went through some rites of passage or got in touch with somebody somewhere in that worldview. You know what I mean? So hopefully that begins to always like to put people on the journey of research. I don't like to be the end all of research. I like to put you on a journey and point you in the right direction, unless you do the rest yourself. But I'll send this to you if you want to see it, and anything else I have on our subject matter to see if it can help empower and enlighten you. Hope that helped. All right. Okay. Edgar Shaw, that's a good question. Got to save that for next time. That's true. Just looking as far as speculative until it's proven. I agree. I see y'all talking about Ethiopia in there, which is cool. Oh, okay, James. I'm gonna check that out. I'll get back to you. Queen of Sheba. Damn, I gotta write these subjects down and address all of them for y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's it for now. I think everybody's leaving, so I agree. Freemasonry is pseudo twist on Kemetic culture. Yeah, they actually made Kemet look bad to mainstream society. You know, because esoteric group. No, I gotta give JFK, because JFK Jake came out and hidden societies, right? And like I was telling, things aren't bad. Some people I have family members that are Masons, right? I'm not it, and I don't subscribe to it, but so reasoning for engaging. Sometimes they use it to get access to certain things that they couldn't do without entering that. Same for people that get into fraternities and sororities and other things like that, you know, or certain of these clubs that are on these Ivy League colleges and stuff like that. But the bottom line is, you know, they like esoteric things or groups. So JFK spoke about, he had a speech where he talked about journalism and how journalism has a responsibility for exposing all things esoteric to make them objectively known to the public. And I agree with that. Cases, so things, you know, kept secret, in increments. So the intent, the intent is what you, the most indulging anything that you don't know, but doing it that way, it's digestible or it's palatable so somebody can consume it and take it in. But actual full secrecy, right? Because there's too many issues in regards to full secrecy. Some things you can keep private, like your personal life. When it comes to things that can affect the, you know, people should know about what is being done and what's going on. You know, this is how we become in a fair, I'm saying. Otherwise, conspiracy theories will bloom, people will be ostracized, and all types of stuff will happen. So what they did was they took ancient Kemetic practices, and because it uses these that they stole, that was not theirs, the unbeknownst public who doesn't really do this in-depth research that they go on demonic and stuff like that, when in actuality these are just symbols that they use in order for them to speak to other initiates. This is what they do. And people look on a dollar bill and say, you know, the pyramid is there, so not on the pyramid, because it goes to show that more work needs to be done. And you see the Eye of Heru and stuff like that. These are things that they stole from indigenous culture and on it. And because they had a agenda that's tied to these symbols, people reject these symbols altogether. It does a disservice. Did not intend for it to be misconstrued the way it is today. So it's through somebody said sounding choppy. I don't know why that is. But I'm gonna wrap up. Hopefully you can bear through. But that's what I mean in regards to looking into that information. And again, I don't subscribe to a lot of stuff that I tell you objective and give it to you anyway. They're not. I just want y'all to be aware of what's going on. All right. So we're talking a lot about the axiom and where it's at and so forth. That's a we have. I agree. Said white folks, those folks in issues. But there's some groups who don't, who are actually against them, actually being the Jews. But a lot of their testimonies have been suppressed by the media, which is controlled by Orthodox Jews and Zionists. You know what I mean? But with that being said, family, I'm gonna wrap up. I thank everybody for being with me for like hours. I think it's a 3-hour session we did. Thank you to the panel that joined on and asked the questions and told us who they were so people were aware of them. Oh, I didn't even realize I was screen sharing that whole time. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate that. I'm going to leave this live so y'all can check it out. I'm probably going to make it private because, you know, I think I'm ranting, but I guess I mean, I know it's good information. So like I'm ranting and I'm a perfectionist working on that. And if I feel that thing's not up to quality, I don't promote it much, or I just don't get it. And that causes me to be a procrastinist. Anyway, so y'all come to it and do whatever. Love you, family. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate everybody. Almost 100 people came on here. Right now it's like 50 now. It's half because it's getting late or early. But almost 100 people joined in tonight, and great build in the chat. No fighting, no arguing. There was some disagreement, but y'all handled it like adults. You know why? The speaker, you know, me, came in a spirit of unity and a spirit of objective information. So the people follow suit, right? When you take the lead to do a righteous thing. So that's why most of my chats, with the occasion of once in a while having some trolls in there, know how to conduct themselves, and they learn from on top of learning from what I'm sharing as well. So shout out to all y'all in the chat that gave information, that learned some stuff, and y'all give me some things to research as well. Shout out to everybody that lasted into the final hour. I love you guys. I'm gonna keep you guys in my prayers. If y'all need anything from me, email me, inbox me on Facebook. I'll do my best to assist y'all. If you're interested in any services that I offer, feel free to do that. For those who want to think, you can go to GoFundMe, look up Kingdom Heart on GoFundMe and donate whatever you want. It can be a penny to $1 million. It's up to you. Because all it's going to do is allow me financial resources to continue to do this work that I'm doing for you guys. And I want to definitely get back to you guys out on that raffle. And the winner, I'm going to announce the winner and let them know what they won. So if y'all want to still engage in that raffle, the first raffle is over. The next one will start on this Monday. So anybody that donates next week will be entered into the second raffle. Anybody that donates. I had a super so I'm gonna enter that person also into the raffle, and then I'm gonna get back to y'all for contributing and assisting and my activism. I do a lot of activism. More videos out on my activism, which is very important because that's also important along with everything else I share with y'all is my activism, being involved in community affairs and ensuring there's a resolve or a resolution. All right. So. A comedic brother's asked me to end in prayer. I love this brother, man. This is a good dude right here, man. He hung in here, gave his information, was tactful and diplomatic. I mean, I wish we can all build. I think everybody in here was like that, man. I wish we had a community of brothers and sisters that even though we have differences, we can handle it like adults. And everybody can learn from everybody else. there's always something you can learn from somebody else. Y'all really learned a lot of things in this group chat together in harmony. You feel me? And this is the type of environment that I want to continue to create, so that way we can flourish and we can blossom into our true potential, so that way we can actually get a degree of autonomy. And that's the real solution for. So with that, I love you guys. I mean, brother wanted me to say a prayer. I'll say a prayer. And I'm gonna end off with that. And then from there, I'm gonna close out. And like I said, I'll leave this up for a couple of days so you can go back, review it, have fun with it. If y'all like it, y'all comment on it and y'all like it and share it, go watch it, I'll keep it up. If not, I'll just make it private or do unlisted, so the one who have seen it can always go back and watch it. With that being said, thank you, Most High Yah, for this opportunity on this Sabbath evening for us to have this coming together of these great minds that's in this chat room. All those who jumped on the Google Hangouts, that contributed their knowledge base, their information, their questions, their inquiry, and even their curiosity to learn. I pray, Most High Yah, that you would touch each here on this line, that you would walk them in the path that you would have them follow, that they would be empowered to accomplish the assignments that you've given them, that the Melachim powers that you've delegated over their lives will watch over them, empower them. Some call them the Melachim, some call them ancestors. I pray that you would use forces to empower these people along their walks, embed them with the Ruach HaKodesh so that they're empowered and they're set apart and they are distinct amongst the secular realm, that they can be a beacon of hope to our people who need this in their lives, so that way we can draw them back to the Creator and the divine essence that's going to reawaken them and give them a sense of obligation to their community and to their Creator and to their fellow brothers in society. Most High Yah, use us as you see fit as a tool in your hand to get the job done. Most High Yah, we pray that you will increase our financial resources so that we can accomplish our assignment for material gain or material wealth, but so that way we have more reach out to others and to finish the things that you've set us on the path to do. Most High Yah, you're worthy of all the honor, glory, and praise. We love you. Thank you. We say Baruch Yahuwah. Hallelujah. All right. So thank you for the comedic brother that asked me to end. A comedic brother asked me to end in prayer, family. You know, that's remarkable right there. Shout out to my brother for requesting that. So thank you guys for being on the line. Thank you, Global Purpose. I'm gonna give you the last shout out for that super chat donation. I appreciate that, Sister Shamaria. Peace and blessings unto you and your family, manifold, and to everybody else, whether you donate or not, same blessings goes upon you as well. I love you guys. I thank you. Please tune in next time. I'm going to say, I say to my brother right there, I'm going to say peace, shalom, and Black Power, family. I love you guys. Stay tuned for the next episode and for more good content we got coming up. Shalom, family.